Larry Churchill, please take your seat. We'll get started.
Yes, sir. Sorry.
All right. With everybody here, we're going to go ahead and get started. Are we waiting on, Steve, we waiting on Brad? Or is he coming?
As far as I know, he's going to be here,
Okay.
but we can get started without
Okay,
him.
all right, we can do that. All right, we're going to start with the regular meeting of the Seminole Airport Authority. Can we have a roll call, please, Jay?
Chris Hansen.
Here?
Trace Connor.
Here.
Tim Poplin.
Here.
Eddie Foreman.
Here.
John Kramer.
Here.
Larry Church.
Here.
Corey Crabtree.
Here.
Dana Miller.
Here.
Jeff Griffin. We have a quorum.
All right, consideration and action of consent agenda.
Move approve.
Second.
Roll call, please, Jay.
Chris Hansen.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Here.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, with no items removed from the consent agenda, do we have any appearances or petitions for the audience? This will be for the Seminole Airport Authority, just so we're aware. Could someone grab me the sheet for council as well, the sign-in sheet, when you get a moment, please? All right, showing none, I will accept the motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? All right, moving on.
Thank you.
Okay, we're moving on to Seminole Gas Authority. Can we have a roll call, please, Jay?
Larry Church.
Here.
Tim Poplin.
Here.
Corey Crabtree.
Here.
Dana Miller.
Here.
Trace Connor.
Here.
John Kramer.
Here.
Chris Hansen.
Here.
Eddie Foreman.
Here.
Jeff Griffin. We have a quorum.
All right, consideration and action of consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Did you get that, Jay?
Yes, thank you.
Roll call.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Chris Hansen.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, with no items removed from the consent agenda, do we have any appearances for the Seminole Gas Authority? I think these are all for city council. So, all right, having done, I'll accept the motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. All right, moving on to Seminole Municipal Authority. Can we have a roll call, please, Jay?
Corey Crabtree.
Yeah, here.
Eddie Foreman.
Here.
Tim Poplin.
Here.
Dana Miller.
Here.
Larry Church.
Here.
Chris Hansen.
Here.
John Kramer.
Here.
Trace Connor.
Here.
Jeff Griffin. We have a quorum.
All right, consideration and action of consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Roll call, please, Jay.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Chris Hansen.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, with no items removed from the consent agenda, and we have no appearances from the audience for the Seminole Municipal Authority, we'll move on to current business. Item 1, consideration and possible action to approve the engineering agreement with Wall Engineering for the work in conjunction with the Emergency Community Water Assistance Grant, with fees to be reimbursed by USDA Rural Development.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please, Jake.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Excuse me. Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Chris Hansen.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, with no other items on the agenda, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? Okay. Okay. Can we move on to the Seminole City Council? Can we have a roll call, please, Jay?
Tim Poplin.
Here.
Corey Crabtree.
Here.
Larry Church.
Here.
Trace Connor.
Here.
Chris Hansen.
Here.
Eddie Foreman.
Here.
Dana Miller.
Here.
John Kramer.
Here.
Jeff Griffin. We have a quorum.
All right, if everyone will please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and the prayer.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father in heaven, thank you for the city of Seminole and all those who call Seminole home. Thank you for those who have come before us to make it what it is today. Open our minds and hearts as we discuss tonight's business so that we may make the best decisions for the city and its citizens. We ask this in your name.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Chris. All right, consideration and action of consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please, Jay.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, and with no items removed from the consent agenda, we'll move on to appearances and petitions from the audience. And the first one I have on my list is Mary Kay Westfall. You're the lucky number one.
I'm here because of the flood on Griswold Drive. I have resided there for 21 years. I never was flooded one time until last May. And I received $38,000 worth of damage. I do have flood insurance, but it only, with depreciation, it covered $28,000 plus my deductible. Again, this time, I was flooded. I had asked the city about 2 weeks before the flooding, the tin horns were full of water because they were stopped up with trash. And maintenance called me back, I called the city, they called me back and said that was my responsibility, that I owned tin horn under the street, which I do not, it belongs to the city. And that they had changed the rules 4 years ago, and it was my responsibility to keep my side of the creek clear of anything that would stop it up. And he said, people throw trash in there thinking it'll wash away and it stops it up. And I said, yes, like the city. When they repaired their line, they threw all their broken tile in the creek and left their dirt piled up for a month, which washed off in the creek and blocked it off. And he said, well, I'll leave this in your door. I wasn't at home. But when it gets bad enough that you're afraid to leave your home because of flooding or it might rain, that's bad. That my home was built in '78, it had never flooded until last year. FEMA told me there was nothing on the record that showed my home flooded until last year. Now that tells me there's a problem with the city. When my grant was there, he did an excellent job. He even had backhoe, they took down fence at Ford and cleared the creek when the debris built up so bad. But now it looks like a jungle. Nothing could wash through the creek. It has to stop at my residence, and it's pitiful. I deserve better. And I have some pictures. Y'all would like to look at them?
Thank you.
Which house is yours? 2201? I would
I'm
presume
behind
you're on
the old
corner.
Ford Motor Building,
Okay.
directly behind it. And I have a peach tree that's loaded with peaches, but now because it's washing my yard away, I'm gonna have to stand in the creek to pick them. It's about 6 to 12 inches from the water. I'd appreciate it if y'all could do something.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank
Mary Kay.
All right. Next up, we have Mr. Neil Craig. You're on.
I know most of you, my name's Neil Craig. I was an insurance agent here for 38 years and been retired nearly 4 years. The reason I'm here tonight, I own property at 1039 North Main from Steve's Body Shop, or the old James Stein Body Shop. It's about a half a block south on the same side. I bought the property 6 years ago from a lady that had lived there for 48 years. She had never been flooded. And this past rain, I got about 6 inches of water in that building. It is a concrete floor, cinder block building. I had personal property in there that was ruined. But the reason I'm here is not so much because of that. I'm concerned about our Milt Phillips area. We've got businesses on the west side from 9 and 99, clear down to the Best Western. We've got automobile dealerships on the east side that I've talked to both of those people, and they suffered immensely. Guys, some of them may be leaving town. We have got to do something about our flood. And we've got a dam north of town that you're going to have to look at. If we can't come to an agreement with the owner, you're going to have to do it in the domain. I don't like that, but it doesn't take property as far as housing, and I don't feel as bad about it, but it's time. We're flooding Wewoka Creek with water, and we've got to do the best we can to stop water going there. We've got to do high school, ball field, we're building houses. Since that Meshach study was done, approximately 10 years ago, I don't know where Sharon is, but Sharon's an expert, isn't she, Corey, on flood? An expert is this: she'll tell you if she knows you, and she'll tell you, I don't know, and I'll find the answer out, and she's an expert. But we've got we're putting way too much water into Wewoka Creek. And I don't know if our county guys can help us with it or not, but we have got to get that soil conservation dam and Meshach study. We've got to get it done. And I appreciate you listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Neil.
Just so you guys are aware, there is an actual public hearing on the agenda, so if you guys are these are open comments from the public, but there is a public hearing, so you guys want to stay around for that. It's a couple of agenda items down, but just so everyone's aware, these are not the only comments that can be made. We'll have a public hearing in a moment, okay? Just want to make everybody aware of that. I don't know if we have enough agendas for everybody, so want to make sure you guys knew that. We have Pam Attia. Is she here? Oh, come on. You're hiding.
I want to hear what I gotta say.
We need to hear it, we need to
This
hear
isn't the
it.
first time I've been here about the flood. 30-some years ago, I was here about the flood. And my place is probably the oldest place out there, out west of town, established before anything else was. And Wrangler came into town. That was great, is great. But they built a retaining pond that ended up being a retention pond until the water went over the highway and the state came in and said, no, you're gonna hold some more water in there. Well, we didn't have a creek 33 years ago when we moved there. We have a 5-foot creek now. We could drive clear across our property. And if anybody wants to check on that, I'm sure Frank C. would tell them that that's how it was. There was not water there. I came here to say, just make Wrangler hold water. It was built on top of a natural spring. The water had to go somewhere. They did not. My husband played golf, and he was told at the golf course to have his wife be quiet. Not funny.
No.
Because then we started having flooding. That was the first of it. And now the city seems to be after me for it, which I'm not happy about, but we'll take that up on the 7th. So that's what I've got to say. You can't build uphill and not expect water to come down. And these houses and buildings that were down here, there wasn't even a floodplain when they built them. So you can't blame these people for buying in a floodplain. And The city passed off on all this stuff. All those, I remember when Brahms came to town, they were gonna buy there where, the Dollar Tree and the new Pizza Hut and all that is. They were gonna buy there, and they pulled out of the contract because it was in a floodplain, and they didn't want to flood. But yet we've allowed people to build there, and that water's gonna go someplace. So I kinda agree with Mary. The city allowed this to happen. I love this town, and I've put a ton into this town, and I'll continue to. But we gotta make it where people wanna stay and people wanna buy homes, and we've lost businesses now because of this, and that's revenue the city loses. It's a snowball effect, and we just need to get on the right page and get it fixed.
I'm
Thank
sure
you.
you've heard the stories in the past of people not wanting to buy on Grisso because either the flood or they have to carry flood insurance.
And think about it,
That's
Corey,
something I've heard.
those houses were built in the sixties. They didn't flood. Why do they flood now? And don't tell me global warming.
Not global warming.
Thank you, thank you.
All right. We got Troy Humphrey as well.
Hey, Troy Humphrey, I signed up prior to reading the agenda, so if you'd like, I'm happy to postpone my comments until the public hearing, or I can speak now, whatever you prefer.
Go ahead, it's fine.
Go ahead, okay. So, Troy Humphrey, I am with Land Run Commercial Real Estate Advisors and also One Corporate LLC. One Corporate owns Shops on the Creek, which the lady just mentioned in reference. Shopping center there with Dollar Tree and Pet Sense and whatnot. Land Run Commercial Real Estate Advisors, we do the management and the leasing of that. We were also the ones behind the creation of that building, being there, both of them. What I can suggest to them, I'm not here to threaten or get emotional or anything like that. I'm here to say, we want to help. We want to be part of the solution if you need us. If you don't, great. But we are here saying something needs to be done. As was already mentioned, businesses have already left. I can tell you right now for a fact, if this problem does not get addressed, businesses in that shopping center will leave. I'm the guy that deals with them. I'm the boots on the ground. I handle the remediation, and I'm also the one that negotiated their leases years ago when I traveled out of state to try to recruit them to your town. That's what I do. That's how I make money. So you got the guy here that's spending his own money to highlight your town, saying, come to Seminole, this is a great place to be. Our work speaks for itself. And now I'm saying you got a problem. It's not a new problem. It's happened multiple times. I shouldn't have personal relationships with remediation companies. It's a bad idea. So I'm here to be whatever tool you need, whatever voice, whatever thoughts, ideas. Pretty good at throwing spaghetti on the wall and seeing what sticks. You have the MESHAC, my initial thoughts, you have the MESHAC report. Image 3.4 tells you all you need to know. You have two 500-year culverts, one on the north side, one on the south side. In between, you have less than 1-year culverts. That tells you there's a bottleneck. Those culverts need to be increased. That's one option. Secondly, you could do the drainage report like they talked about as well. One that I didn't see addressed, and I'm not sure why, is from what I've been told, the water sheds from north to south, which then creates the bottleneck. If that's the case, downsize the culvert on the north. Don't have a 500-year culvert draining into less than 1-year culvert. Stop the 500-year culvert. Replace that with the lowest size culvert you got within that stream, which is less than 1 year. That seems to be the most reasonable, economical, and fastest solution that I can see. But I'm not a flood expert. I don't know, I'm not going to claim to be sharing. So I just want to offer that to you. I'm happy to be a resource in whatever way I can. Thank you for your time.
I have just a real quick question, if you guys don't mind. Of those shops, did all of them flood? Because I know the ones that were, I guess that would be Dollar Tree and the other ones.
That's right.
I don't mean to be
Oh.
interrupted, but
wanna ask
council's
those?
not allowed to
Okay,
ask
I got you.
questions
We'll do
in
that.
a presentation.
Okay.
You can under
Got it.
discussion items, just
Okay, we can do
open
that.
meeting, not my ruling.
No.
Right,
it's all
and
good.
I got that. And to that end, whether it's during the discussion time or afterwards, I'm happy to come down here and meet with whomever, whatever schedule. We just gotta find a solution.
No problem.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna go move on to presentation for Seminole Downtown District.
Good evening, and I can see that you're going to have a very lengthy meeting tonight, so we're going to try to keep this short. We want to talk to you about the importance of downtown. On the short term, we sent a request through Shura for some in-ground watering system at the corner of Main and Broadway, maybe more later on at Main and Oak Street, whatever's left of planting beds there. We, four of us formed Seminole Downtown District in 2021. We spent some long, hot, very hot summer nights on our hands and knees, digging out flower beds, using our own money to replant them, add good soil, add mulch. We just did a number of things. It's difficult to keep it watered. It basically died. Some things got sprayed and killed. It's been kind of a frustrating process. And then the tornado, of course, set us back a couple of years because part of us were displaced. But to sum up what she's about to tell you, what we're asking for is that in-ground watering system. And we do have a bid. I know you have to get more. This one is just one we got just to see, what our starting point is on that. I do want to tell you that we have a young lady here tonight from the Superintendent's Leadership Council Advisory Board. And Kylie, would you stand? This is the future of our town, and downtown is very important to the survival of a town, which Kristen will get into shortly. This group came to us wanting to help. Kind of had to put them off because we spend thousands of dollars on plants and they die because we have no water. Kristen and Jamie have drug water hoses across that intersection, 300-foot water hose. This is just entirely too hard and too hot. And it's an expense to Jamie Carter to pay for that much water, to water all of that. But physically, it's just too hard for, well, Kristen's not.
I was 9 months pregnant.
Yeah, she was. And not Tran is a big part of this as well. But for Jamie and I, who are a little older, and it's hard, too hard to do. So anyway, I'm going to keep it short for now. I will be back to answer any questions you have. Kristen has a presentation about the importance of downtown and some of the projects we're hoping to do.
Hi, I'm Kristen. I work at Carter Real Estate Company. I'm a realtor and property manager here in Seminole. I actually live in Tecumseh, but I volunteer and I do so much for this community. It's basically my home. I spend half my life here working, so you guys might see me at Carter Real Estate. That's where I'm from. So you can go to Sean. How do I?
Just let me know.
Okay, I'll just give you the thing again. Okay, our mission is to revitalize the downtown district and bring more business, restaurants, art, and public events downtown. I'll go fast. So, why should downtown be important to Seminole? Having a vibrant downtown can have numerous benefits for a community. I got that information from the Value of U.S. Downtowns and Center Cities. That's a really great read for me because I'm trying to revitalize downtown. That's very great for anybody who wants to take a look. No city or region can succeed without a strong downtown, the place where compactness and density bring people, capital, and ideas into the kind of proximity that builds economies, opportunity, and identity. Successful downtowns often have public art, engaging storefronts, attractive landscaping, and other amenities that improve the walkability and enjoyment of downtown areas. And this is one of the murals that the Seminole Arts Council did. It is on the Chamber of Commerce, so we'll see plenty of things that have been incorporated into downtown throughout the slideshow. Successful downtowns have a mix of uses, which could include retail, office, residential, hospitality, entertainment, and event spaces. Successful downtowns have gathering spaces for special events, farmers markets, summer concerts, outdoor movies, etc. Gathering spaces can also include open markets, interactive water features, parks, and amphitheaters. These public spaces help foster the sense of community that makes downtowns loved by their citizens. So, with all of that being said, how can our downtown be successful? I can quote all the things that I've researched. So this is how we want to make our downtown be successful. We need a place together. We would like to build a pavilion in our community. It'd be a large space for judging costumes, pumpkins, future farmers markets, flea markets, like a rummage sale, car show registrations, 5K registrations, art and vendor shows, concerts, movies on Main, food truck parking, and many more future events to come. The pavilion will also provide shelter from the sun and rain during events scheduled. Successful downtowns are safe and comfortable for pedestrians. Design elements such as narrow streets, wide sidewalks, decorative crosswalks, and other features can help to create a comfortable environment for pedestrians. These are our streets in downtown. So after a rain, we have flooding, potholes. Me and Jamie can't even park in front of Carter Real Estate because there's a lake there. We've done everything from drag out leaves from the thing to try to make it go. And so after the rain, whenever this all drains finally, there's mud and it's slick. We've seen several people fall in front of our building, not just ours, because the mud can be slick and the holes and potholes, it's a very big hazard. We need pedestrian-friendly sidewalks, new roads, new water lines, drainage issues to be resolved, irrigation for watering flower beds throughout the downtown district, and repainted parking lines and crosswalks. So our crosswalk is covered with sand from the floods of downtown. A long-term goal of the Seminole Downtown District is to help connect our downtown to the walking track located at the Seminole Wellness Center that connects to Boomtown and the water park area. New roads and sidewalks are a must for the revitalization of downtown. I know that's a touchy subject, but it has to happen. And this is just a way, this is Shawnee. This is a way to memorialize the bricks to make the intersections. Maybe, I think this might be stamped concrete. It's a little bit cheaper. Even just doing crosswalks and bricks would be, beneficial to help preserve the bricks downtown. In order for new roads, sidewalks, and water lines, the bricks will have to go. But there's several different ways that we want to incorporate bricks in our downtown. We would like to do, if you like the bricks, we can make you a pretty brick with your name on it. Do the sidewalks like they've lined in the middle picture, and then do brick walls for like the pocket parks that the Arts Council are working on. Empty lots. There's a ton of empty lots downtown. They're all in need of cleanup and leveling. I know the Arts Council is also working on a pocket park by Boomerang and Sherwin-Williams. It's actually this lot right there they're working on, but this pretty lot here is in Sallisaw. I'm actually from Stillwell, Oklahoma. I'm not from Seminole, but like I said, this has been my home. So I drive through Sallisaw to get to Stillwell, and this empty lot was empty forever. And then one day I drove by, and it was just this beautiful stage with all these lights and picnic tables, and I was like, man, we really need that in our downtown. So it's a great spot. So this is another way to incorporate an empty lot, just and bring color downtown. So that's another goal, is to bring more art, color, and just fun downtown. Our downtown looks abandoned. So this was one of our trash can lids, which we had a project, so I'll show you that in a future slide. The landscaping is terrible, even though we've tried so hard. Windows falling off, roofs caved in. This building here, it had like a big trim sticking out, which was a very big hazard. So our downtown looks like this when you go and walk down it. This is our landscaping. Weeds as tall as I am. I'm 5'7". These weeds were almost as tall as I was. These pictures were from last year. Some of them have been this year too. These power lines here are drooping because the weeds off the building are so bad. I think that one's still like it. This building was also abandoned from the tornado and no landscaping done whatsoever. So landscaping is a big priority to make our downtown not look abandoned. So that's why we're so adamant on the water lines to help us water all the flowers that we plant. This is Tecumseh's landscaping. I'm from Tecumseh, so I walk down there downtown a lot, and I get a little jealous because I want our downtown to look like that. We did a project before the tornado. We planted all of the pots, and they were looking really nice. Well, then the tornado came and busted one of our pots open and ruined all our flowers, so we had to start completely from zero. And then we trimmed a bunch of crepe myrtles, and we get this pretty tree there. So we do that with a group of 4 people that show up. This is Wewoka's Main Street. So even just walking down Wewoka, you get a little jealous because I want our downtown to look like this. This is a city worker checking the beds and irrigation. So the one thing that Wewoka and Tecumseh does have is the in-ground irrigation. This is downtown Okmulgee. Again, just a pop of color in just an empty alleyway. It just is creative and adds a pop of color and will bring traffic downtown to just take pictures or just bring them downtown in general. We need aesthetic signage. I would love to see one day street signs, decorative street signs, wayfinding signs, and pretty stop signs. There's a picture of our stop sign that has duct tape on it. So I would love to one day get a stop sign with the street signs and make it look really nice. Banners for events and holidays. Christmasville added a banner I think last year, maybe this year, and it was the best time of my life, I felt like, when I saw the banner. I don't know, it just gives you that homey feeling, and we would love to have some welcome to downtown banners and a welcome to the downtown district signs, and maybe just a Veterans Day parade sign just like that one is when we have our Veterans Day parade. We have had a lot of work with Seminole Arts Council on adding murals, and they've done amazing. This is one on Oak Street in one of the alleyways. It was a community mural, and all of those handprints are different handprints throughout the community. So if you have a building that you might like a mural on, please reach out to the Arts Council. This is the trash can lid project. We worked with the Arts Council and the Seminole Nation Language Department to help make this project happen. So the city of Seminole painted the trash cans black, and then the Arts Council came in with different artists throughout the community and painted tribal designs on there, and there is a Muskogee phrase on one side translated to English. So if you haven't had a chance to walk downtown and see the trash cans, we are very proud of those trash cans. The more benches and seating. I know the pocket parks will add a lot of benches and seating to the downtown, but this is just a downtown project that we did one night when the 4 of us met. I walked by this bench every day for almost a year, and finally I was like, all right, we're painting it. I don't care what color, just go and buy paint. We're painting it any color. So it looks a ton better, and nobody has graffitied on it yet, so it looks really good. Facelifts and curb appeal downtown. We really need to start holding the owners capable of making their buildings look nice. Even if it's not habitable, they still need to make it look nice on the outside. Here are some of the businesses that have done some facelifts and curb appeal. Buddy's painted their building, and it's the brightest color blue. It brightens up that whole area. First Title updated their whole storefront, and it looks really great. White and black, very good contrast. Phillips Post Frame has come in and done landscaping and fixed that whole building up. And then the Pablo Style, they painted, and Cadenhead Law Firm also got a new awning. So they're doing great, but we do still need some owners to be held responsible for getting their buildings at least presentable for downtown. So why should we care about downtown? Here's a baseball team visiting Gigi's. This is the Made in Oklahoma Festival. There were so many cars that showed up and so many people. We have all of the parades downtown. This is Addie and, gosh, I know the dog's name. Hattie and, yeah, I know the dog's name, I don't know his name. But Made in Oklahoma and a bunch of parades, there's a homecoming parade. And we would love to have that landscape back there look a little bit better for all of the parades. So I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there's 50 plus businesses downtown. Now I can read these off individually, but I'll let you guys just take a gander. But towards the end, I will read off this. It's the Seminole Post Office, the City Attorney Brad Carter's office, and most importantly, the City of Seminole. So whenever somebody moves to Seminole, they have to come downtown to get their water turned on. And I think that is a very big important deal for anybody coming to town, because they have to come downtown. And when it looks like this, we want them to be happy to come downtown and come back and see us downtown. Events. Trunk or Treat, Made in Oklahoma, Veterans Parade, Christmasville, Chocolate Festival, 4th of July Festival, scavenger hunts, car shows, Dragging Maine, Homecoming Parade, and we want more events down there, all the time, more events, and to work with the community on bringing those events. I know the 4th of July was a big event that got canceled, and we'd love to host that if we had some volunteers. So we partner with the community. We partner with the American Legion, the Chamber of Commerce, the Arts Council, the Lions Club, and the City of Seminole. We don't want anything extravagant or like a Ferris wheel downtown just yet, but we do want a nice place for our community. So let's start here. We want new roads and sidewalks, facelifts for the buildings, landscaping, and a place together. Those are where we would like to start. Downtown is the heart and center of Seminole. When you look at the map, it is the center of Seminole. Downtown areas are the heart and soul, the mom and pop stores, the place where people gather in the community. You can build east, west, north, and south of Seminole, but don't forget the center of town. We can't survive without the heart. Thank you. Sorry, I tried to do that really fast. So.
So we're aware that you voted for the project downtown. This was presented to Sarah before you had voted on that, so we're not trying to beat a dead horse there. We're saying thank you for that. We're asking if the in-ground watering system could possibly come from the beautification fund. We have an offer for one of those beautiful signs that she showed, the directional stop signs, wayfinding signs. Bank First has offered to buy one of those for us, donate it, and we're hoping to get more things like that. We're hoping across the nation, downtown, people are returning to downtown. It's not the downtown that we grew up with. It is a different downtown with specialty stores and restaurants and pubs and things like that. But my family and I travel around the state of Oklahoma all the time between rodeos and dirt bike races. We are somewhere all the time. First place we go is their downtown to see what's going on. Unfortunately, when I'm there, I've had a couple of very negative comments made to me about the appearance of our downtown. And even one day down here in front of Boomerang a couple of years ago, a softball tournament, some people walked up, my family and I were waiting to go in. It was kind of standing room only that day because of a softball tournament. And some families walked up behind us and they were looking up and down our main street. And I won't use the word they used, but they said what our town looked like. And that was very hard to listen to when you've been trying to make it better. So we want to make you aware of how important downtown is. I know that's not the consensus, but towns that are successful are revitalizing. Old Mulgie's downtown was desolate. Their Main Street program came in, fixed up a little around the square. They are now starting a movie being filmed there. One of the pictures you saw was some of the movie sets on that downtown area. When you build it, they will come. When you do something about downtown, new businesses will come. We are going to start working with a group called Smart Growth America. We have found another organization that is willing to give business owners a grant of $5,000 to $10,000, depending upon their needs, to do things in the buildings that they occupy or own. So, I mean, we are all volunteers, we all have full-time jobs, but we're spending our time trying to help Seminole, and we're asking for your help too. We're gonna try to keep this, we're gonna cut it off here, because we could talk all night, but thanks for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next on our agenda is the public hearing. Hearing. Oh, my bad, I just skipped a presentation, sorry. Mr. Ray Adams from Hidden Hills, if you'll go ahead and come up.
First of all, I'd like to say that's the first time I've said the Pledge of Allegiance in a while. My father was third of the 506 and 101st Airborne. It's pretty cool to just tells you how I grew up. Okay, now I'm representing Hidden Hills Community Village up just south of town, and we have had a unexpected water issue. And the reason I'm here is, first of all, I don't understand the graphs that the city provided. I know that we were without water. We had, by the times our faucets had no dripping water, we turned the main off. But we've got 2 months here of $4,000, over $4,000 a month, when our normal bill was about $1,600. I understand that I am responsible for my side of the main, and it was purely proven as we were working diligently before the flood. So, to make a long story short, I am here praying for some help. You know, we've got water consumptions used. We had 1,600 gallons, and the city, of course, with the leak, you know what I mean. It's just the numbers almost tripled. So I'm just praying that the city of Seminole can give us some relief on that. And by the way, I'm from county. I've never been to a city meeting, so I don't even know if I'm asking in the right place. That's all I have.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, so we're gonna move on to the public hearing now. I missed the other one. This is I'm gonna read it off the agenda. It's a hearing open to the public for comment regarding flood issues within the city limits of Seminole. Staff review of the VSHAC engineering plan, including age creation of a flood control lake west and north of the intersection of highways 9 and 377, which may require eminent domain and/or condemnation. Start us off.
Me or you? Me? All right. Sharon got stage fright, but she has all the answers. So I just kind of want to review a little bit about what we went over last month. Obviously, it became much more sensitive with the flood issues that were experienced. So if we could, let's run back through real quick. So what eventually happened in the 2015 flood, the city council retained VSHAC. VSHAC is the engineering firm that is widely known throughout Oklahoma as the guru of floods. They did all of Tulsa's flood program. FEMA relies upon a lot of their modeling, and they know what they're talking about. So in 2015, we had the 3.7-inch rain in 12 hours. We actually topped that a couple of weeks ago. National Weather Service noted that was a 20% storm, and we're seeing those about every 5 years. So in June 24, we got the 5 inches of rain in 2.5 hours, and it appeared that it stayed right above Wrangler or my house as well. So it just sat there and rained for a long time, and it rained quick. 2.5 inches, or excuse me, 5 inches in 2.5 hours is going to put a bunch of communities underwater. I mean, there's a point where you can do all the retainage, all the detainage, all the structures that you want, but when you get a rain like this, it's not going to keep the thing from flooding. So real quick, this is just kind of the big overview of our floodplain. So I can only point to one at a time, but so you're looking here, you'll see the hatched area that is what we are referred to as the floodway. That's a FEMA term. Thank you. That's impressive. All right, Sharon's got a pointer. Okay, so we've got the floodway in the hatched area. Those are places that you cannot build in. You cannot, will not, should not, will not. Okay, so that is a FEMA restriction. If we allow that as a community, then everybody within the city limits of Seminole loses their ability to obtain flood insurance. So we're very, very careful about the floodway. Outside of the hatched area, you'll see that that is what is a normal floodplain. Floodplains are, about every community has them. They typically are going to be, what's the percent? 1% per year? Yeah, 1% chance of a flood. We used to call that the 100-year floodplain. They got away from that. They said basically it's 1% every year that you will have a flood in that area. Seminole is like the vast majority of communities in Oklahoma. We have floodplain ordinances that do allow for development within the floodplain as long as you comply with building it at minimum 2 feet above the flood elevation, the base flood elevation for that sector, and you must retain a zero rise certificate from a licensed engineer. And what that means is, at a minimum, we know that an engineer has looked at this and that there is a good probability that this new building will not flood, or will flood only in extreme circumstances. So if we zoom in a little bit, this is going to be a little difficult for you to ascertain, but this, yeah, right there is where the pointer is. I believe that is Dollar General. So Dollar General, the north-south street there is Milt Phillips, and along the edges there is the floodway. So we did allow development for the Casey's and the Tinker Federal Credit Union, as well as further north, the Shops on the Creek. Each of those had engineers that certified to us that there would be no impact upon the floodway or the floodplain. And each of those actually were required to build above the base flood elevation by 2 feet. That's a minimum requirement. In most cases, the contractors will want to do more than 2 feet above the base elevation, but it's an expense. Moving dirt is a very expensive item. So these are the reports that we had in the last flood. Nope, these are problem areas that Meshack had identified, I'm sorry. These are the last, that in 2016, Meshack decided that, hey, these are key areas that you're going to continue to have flood issues unless there's some remediation. And so that, the middle circle where the pointer is the area we just talked about near Casey's and Family Dollar. There is another flat area in the East Gate area. And then down by the football practice field has always been, historically been an issue. Okay, so these are the solutions that Meshack came up with. And you'll notice that the blown up hatch area at the bottom, yep, that is the bridge area that is right by the Reynolds Wellness Center. That is on Strother. And I believe the Yeager family still owns the area north there where the Meshack group said this is a real choke area. This is a problem. If you look at how quickly the floodplain comes together, you can kind of visualize where the bottleneck is. On up on the north, you'll see that there's a large hatched area where our floodplain is. Meshack had indicated to the council at the time that, hey, this is the solution. You need to build a major impoundment. This would be actually detain water. So this is building a lake for layman's terms. We're talking about building a lake, essentially a flood control lake with a big dam. And that was the solution that they came up with. Actually, those two were very important into remedying some of the flood issues in the areas that were having problems. So let's try to quantify. I know I'm a layman as well. Sharon knows a lot of this stuff. But from a layman's standpoint, I tend to think about inches of water, inches of rain. But when you get into modeling these things, as Meshack does, they start talking about acre feet of water. Okay, so that's an acre of the land that holds 1 foot of water. How many acre feet are you going to put every time there's a 1 inch rain within an hour? And so they can begin to model on computer simulations. They model what happens in a 2 inch rain in 1 hour, what happens in a 5 inch rain in 2.5 hours like we got the other day. Well, I can tell you that 5 inches, it doesn't matter. I mean, it is all coming downstream. And everybody that's in the way is going to be getting some storm water. But in this case, what they were talking about is doing a dry retention part up north and building a detention area. So the green area is the detention. That would be the surface of the lake. And then the bluer area would be area where you can expect that the stormwater would expand to in a significant flood environment. So, hang on, Sharon, let's go back and talk a little bit more about acre feet. So, I was thinking, okay, there we are. Right now, the existing stormwater area with doing nothing, it basically has about 252 acre feet that it can retain or expand to that allows the water to go elsewhere, that it tries to stay out of our stores and our homes. What this construction would do, the dam and that system, it would be taking it to 1,001 acre feet, essentially quadrupling what we're able to do in terms of keeping water away from our people. So that's a good segue to tell you that FEMA is passionate, and if they were here tonight, they'd probably be standing up screaming at me. Their job, especially in the last 25 years, has been to keep the people away from water. They have spent a tremendous amount of money buying homes and businesses to get them away from the floodway. And that includes most of what you've seen in Tulsa. So they are not big fans of doing projects like this because they believe we need to move the people out, okay, get them away from the floodplain. Well, in our case, that's not realistic. So what are we going to do? The solution in this case was for us to come with an impoundment. I did get to visit with Tim Tate this week, and I think there's an avenue for more discussion to open. But the owner of that, Barbara Bess, and family, I think they're open to some discussion. At the time, we just couldn't get there from where we were in the negotiations. At the time, in 2016, 2017, FEMA had hazard mitigation grant dollars, and they were willing to pay for the lake, pay for the construction of the dam, and a good portion of the acquisition cost for the land. We couldn't strike a deal at that time, so to this point, that idea has been abandoned. In terms of the drainage basin on the Yeager property, that is tribal trust land. It makes it very difficult for us to be able to access, although of late we've had a lot of cooperation from the family, and at least one of the members that has jurisdiction over the land has said, hey, we're willing to work with you. But that is an issue and will continue to be a bottleneck for our flood issues. Yeah, just more of the same. We're still talking about the flood elevations at 864. It's pretty flat, and it has a difficult time draining from that area. So this is 2016 cost. At the time, it was 2.5. I can safely say that you're looking at least $5 million for construction cost, and that does not include any acquisition cost. So, you can layer onto that about what it's going to take to acquire and construct. Now, in terms of whether or not the hazard mitigation money is still available, we're still trying to find that out. I will say there are a couple of sources, but almost all of them are going to require significant match dollars from the city. I don't know if that means 10% or 25 or 50. We just don't have those answers for you today, but I did want you to know that in the 2016, 2017 dollars, it was 2.5 million. Other areas of interest, these are city staff and fairly recent city staff discussions about, well, what if we did retention ponds on upstream of Wewoka Creek and allowed Magnolia Creek to evacuate first? What does that do to us? So but each of these positions would be privately owned property. So we're still going to be having to buy areas and easements, okay? They're tricky because one of the primary things that we cannot do is flood any piece of the railroad right-of-way. So we have to back off of that thing and dig out away from the railroad right-of-way on Wewoka Creek. And we think that would have some play and be a good idea for Wewoka Creek to have some retainage and detainage to keep a little bit of time for Magnolia Creek to evacuate. Okay, here's, I think we got misunderstandings, and part of it apparently was brought on by well-meaning city employees that maybe didn't have the authority to do what they did in terms of cleaning out culverts and doing drainage work. So let's review real quick. The lines that you see in green, these green areas are drainage areas that the city is responsible for. These are areas that the city actually owns and maintains. You'll notice where her pointer is almost to the rodeo arena. So all of that between the rodeo arena and basically up to the snow cone stand subway is all city drainage area. Within the golf course, obviously, we do work there. And then along the Magnolia Creek next to the walking trails, that is our responsibility. So everything in red that you see from one time or another, the city of Seminole has received complaints asking for drainage assistance. Hey, we've got limbs that are blocking this. We've got culverts that are packed. We need your help. Well, my city attorney really frowns on us using city labor, city equipment on private property. And a long time ago, we had an ordinance, and still do. Do we have that? Yes. The city ordinance is actually, it spells it out clear as could be. And is there a part, there's stormwater drainage there. Okay. So this is lining out for everyone to understand what is your responsibility. Is it your responsibility to mow all the way to and weed eat all the way to the roadway? Is it your responsibility for drainage? And the answer is yes. So what happens is, and this is a true as it could be, the developers want to develop their properties to build homes as cheaply as possible. Drainage ditches are by far the cheapest way to do that. Building stormwater drainage areas and curbs and gutters under those streets is very expensive, and they avoid that. So what has happened in many cases is that the developers have put drainage ditches, culverts that are actually privately owned because the city does not take those, they're not up to code. We don't take them, it's just like a street. If they just put gravel on a street and didn't put asphalt, we would not take that. They cannot convey that to the city's ownership. And the same is true of the drainage areas. So I don't want to try to read that to you, but essentially what happens is the drainage areas are the homeowner's responsibilities, especially the culverts and other areas. Occasionally, hello, testing, 1, 2, testing. Occasionally, we will send out the grade all and try to assist, but that's not the plan. That is not a permanent plan.
Mr. Saxon,
So,
Mr. Saxon, do those rules apply to the city side of the creek? Do they have to maintain their side just the same as you do around your water? Because that's where I'm having problems. The city is throwing their trash and their repair stuff that's left over into the creek. And after I told them that, they came and cut down a half of a pecan tree and threw all the limbs and a 4-foot piece of a huge limb, which during the flood ended up in Ford's parking lot. Their weeds are over my head. My side is maintained.
So-
Do they not have the same rules as the property
okay.
owner?
Yeah, so Sharon, will you go back to the map? Do you want me to address this or no? We're under the public hearing, so I think we're okay
You're okay.
legally? All right. So Sharon, will you go up to Grisso Street and let's talk about this. So when you're saying the city side of the creek,
The side, they had a little water station or pump station or whatever they call there, and they put up some kind of an antenna that wouldn't get reception, so they came out and cut the north side of a very huge palm tree that's inside their fence, and threw it over their fence into the creek.
okay? I have no knowledge of that. I'll check into it.
And their
We'll,
weeds are over my head all around the part that that they're telling me I need to maintain. They don't maintain theirs. They mow out all the frontage up front on the street where you see it, and they leave all the weeds and stuff at the back.
okay. I'm not aware of the issue until just now, so
Okay.
let me work on that. I'm sure
Appreciate it.
there'll be something that we can do in the short term, really short term.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else, Sharon? Is there anything else in your slide? So that's it from the city's perspective, and if you want to open it up for crowd questions, we can certainly field those.
Yeah, we can go ahead and do that. We do council at the same time, right? So anybody else have any comments? Go ahead.
Clarification
Go ahead.
question. On the waterways, I don't know what you classify as a waterway. I know I give the bar ditches and culverts and whatnot when we do development, but all the excess water that we've gotten over the last 30 years, and rebuild what we're gonna get, has created waterways that were not there before. So is that classified as a waterway under that rule or not?
No.
Right.
And so, Sharon, go back to the floodway. So the floodway, there you go. The floodway is a FEMA designation. They're saying, hey, this is a no-no. You're not going to build here. And I understand what you're saying, that, hey, if we build a parking lot and it's concrete and does not absorb water at Casey's, then you are going to shed more water onto this, okay? So the only thing that the city does or can do in this case is require stormwater studies. And these are studies done by engineers that they turn in to us that basically guarantee us that that is not going to cause more issues than they had before. In most cases, that requires what they call compensatory storage, meaning that, hey, they're going to do something else on their lot or upstream that will compensate for anything that they're doing that is not going to soak into the ground.
So, one more clarification. My property, I had no water, Wranglers Go. Now I have water. Do I have a waterway?
No.
Okay. And I know you know the statute says you can't do that anyway. You can't put water off on somebody.
That's why we have stormwater
Okay.
plans that must be submitted. I wasn't here when all that happened with Wrangler, so
I know.
I'm
blaming
not
you.
aware
It was a great thing, don't get me
exactly.
wrong. I was all for it. I just wanted them to keep the water.
And we'll
And the
have,
soap suds. The soap suds were not my favorite thing to see floating through my backyard.
yeah. We don't mind having a discussion if there's a possibility of choking that drainage down some, the
It would
pipes.
help all the way down the
it-
street. That
we don't-
comes- What comes behind my house goes to Ernie's,
Yeah.
back through the field and behind Casey's.
Right.
But just to, the
Yeah.
city just cited.
I
us
know
for
Ernie
not-
Willis.
Well, the city
I've
just cited
had-
us for not keeping a waterway clean.
Yeah, he's chewed, what's left of my ear came, yeah.
So there's a whole other thing. There was a lawsuit, and Courtney Johnson was supposed to do some things with Northwood, but he did not do. He lost the lawsuit to Frank C. And nobody made him, they signed off on everything, he didn't make him do what the court said he was supposed to do. So that's a big part of the problem.
That's good history I did not know.
Well, it's there.
Okay.
That's what happens when you live someplace too
Yeah.
long.
So, Sharon, go back to the acreage again of the the total drainage area, the red and green map. So just for the council's edification on this, right now, we maintain 9.9 acres of the drainage areas. If we were to take on all the questionable drainage areas, that would add 48.8 acres of really hard to maintain drainage area to the 92 acres that we already maintain. So it would be, you're gonna add a lot of staff and expense if we go through and try to do anything with the drainage areas.
Steve, who's responsible for the retention areas that we have in town?
Those are property owners, with the exception of the one up by Blue Wave, that is city-owned. The question was, if you didn't hear, the retention ponds, for example, the one in front of Wrangler, who actually owns those? And the answer is the property owners own those, with the exception of the one up by Blue Wave Boats.
It's interesting to hear the part about Northwood, because
Northwood has a serious water problem.
I've lived there since 2006, and you know as well as I do, along with my neighbor, that, every time those waters get extreme, I've replaced my living room carpet about 5 times, because
Rick had to put in a culvert on his place.
it's just,
You don't want to talk about storms in the back of this house.
yeah, no, I don't. His is bad too. But yeah, it's extremely frustrating, so I can sympathize.
I actually took pictures on Sunday, and that was a mild rain Sunday, of waters coming out of Northwood onto our property.
It's interesting to know what all that should have entailed, to be honest. So, sure.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. We passed legislation this year that put $30 million into a fund to help crisis like this, tornadoes, other damaged things. And so I would like to offer assistance to the city to look at everything in the state that can help us do this, but I'd like to see the city come up with a master plan where we eliminate the problems that we have that have accumulated over the years. They just happen, it happens, but especially on the drainage side of things, to look at it in an engineering fashion and make all the changes it takes to make to handle the water, but also look at options to add additional ways that we can distribute the water and get away from that. I know we can't solve it forever, but I think we ought to take a real strong look at it. I will commit to doing everything I can at the state level to make some monies available so the city of Seminole can deal with this successfully. And it's frustrating, I know. I've had calls on it too, but on June the 4th, I think that we had the big rain. There were 10 inches that fell up in the northern part of the county, washed out a bunch of county roads, and I called the Department of Transportation. Of course, they had an excuse about, well, we don't do things unless it's this way. But I'd like to offer my help, and I would like to really see us address this. I'm not a fan of eminent domain, I just want you to know that, is that I believe that the right to own property is a right that's given by God and not by man. And so I'd like to see us do everything, and I would like to even raise additional money if it costs more money to do it that way, to make sure that Seminole is kept. But I remember when, I think it was Kent McGinnis built the Dollar General store, and there was a lot of discussion back then about whether or not that ought to be built. And but it's time now to go in, reevaluate, develop a solution, fix it over the next whatever period of time it takes. But I just want you to know that I'm willing to do with the office that I have, whatever I can to assist you guys.
We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Can I add something? A little bit of clarification, because I know that a lot of people are going to be questioning why we allowed buildings to go into the floodway and floodplain to be built, especially recently. When a company does work and brings their building or brings the dirt work up above our, what we think it should be, they submit, through an engineer, they submit an elevation certificate to FEMA. If FEMA approves that and sends it back to me, we have no right to tell them they cannot build. So every building that you see that has, on Milt Phillips, that has had damage, 99%, I can guarantee you they have an elevation certificate approved by FEMA. And so we had no right to tell them they could not build there.
Any other comments?
Anybody else want to comment?
Mayor, you asked a question as I was leaving. You asked if the other building was Dollar Tree, what, the answer to that is no. Consistent with what was just mentioned, we do have that elevation certificate. That's under the 1% flooding chances. And I believe the data that was shown was more of a 5 or 20%.
That was the 2015 flood, was the 20%.
Was it 20%, which we flooded at one,
Yeah.
okay, so you understand the concept there, getting that, so. I just wanted to follow up and answer your question.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I was just curious. It wasn't a point of contention. I just was curious.
No, it has not.
Corey, can we ask questions?
Yeah, go ahead. Council, you're free to make comments. It's public
Okay.
hearing.
So mine is a question. I think earlier someone had mentioned that we have lost several businesses due to flooding. Can somebody tell me what those are?
There are businesses that are looking at moving.
So they're looking at moving, but they haven't.
Car dealerships is looking at moving to Shawnee.
So the car dealership,
Yes.
And I can second that and tell you that tenants in our shopping center said if we do not do something or actively participate, which is another reason why I'm here, they're leaving. So, because they do not want to invest the time and money and the resources associated with the remediation so often and so frequently.
And the owners of these companies, they invest a lot of time and money in their own.
I can't see.
JT. You're going to stand up, JT.
I'm just hearing.
I said the owners, they invest a lot of their own personal time and money in the community, the ones that are leaving.
Dan, also,
Can you
Dollar
stand
General-
up? Can you stand up? Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Dollar General, that whole strip was flooded and they had to shut down. So Subway is another one. That music store, I live around that area. There, he had to relocate.
Okay.
Where else?
There's yellow stickers on all.
Yeah, all of that is gone.
All the phone places.
Oh, there was a phone place as well.
I think,
A lot of businesses have been affected by that.
I think just to,
Okay.
just
Thank
to
you.
clarify, I think that Subway was closed before that happened. So I
Well, that
think,
music store
yeah,
was it.
but I mean, nonetheless, they would probably be in that situation now, but I guess they were there before then. But
Okay.
they didn't have any bread.
And they never had.
We got,
Okay, thank you.
go ahead, Sharon, just, give me just 1 second, go ahead.
The Dollar General store, it had some issues other than flooding after the flood, and they are working to correct the issues for
Yeah.
the building.
Yeah,
The yellow stickers will come off as soon as corrections are made. The yellow stickers do not mean it can't be fixed. Electrical,
Because of the flood?
no,
No.
no.
Okay, go ahead. Gwen,
I own the building just south of Dollar General, with the 3 buildings and the 3 offices. And this is the second time that building has flooded. I've just redone all the walls, 4 foot and down, to replace all of it so that I wouldn't lose the tenants of the house. But if it happens again, then I'm gonna do everything I have in that building. And I need some, I've asked and asked, when my husband was alive, he tried to get help and no one was doing that. And then this has happened and I am left trying to figure out what to do by myself. I need somebody to do something.
thank you. we have any other comments? I noticed some hands. We'll get them real quick. Ray?
It seems like to me if these reservoirs were a possible option, that dirt has to go somewhere. And that possible dirt would possibly eliminate some of the flooding that's taking place.
I don't know that. I'm not an engineer, but.
Sure, the engineers know that.
Yeah, we wouldn't know that. Tim, go ahead. You had a comment.
Yeah, I just feel like sometimes the elephant's on my shoulders in the room right now. I represent my mother-in-law, Barbara Bess. And, we bought that property in 2000 and did it as an investment for our family. We run cattle there. And I talked to Steve, you know, and I actually, you know, our heart was, we live in Seminole, we're gonna die in Seminole. Hey, whoever, yeah, thank you for the downtown. We've dumped money in downtown, we're for downtown, we're for Seminole. I know what it is to flood, I know what it is to rebuild after tornadoes, I get all that. And so our heart is not to say no, our heart is to, we don't wanna lose everything we worked for. All of that in there, we run cattle on. If we push water all the way back to Ideal, you're gonna take every cross fence we got out, we built, you're gonna swallow up our corrals, you're gonna flood all of our hay meadows. So you're gonna eliminate our ability to do what we purchased the land for and put an investment there for 24 years. Our heart was, if it's a smaller footprint to do something, that we can, we got a flood control north on the north side there, that's that, Local Creek, what that, number 5. And so, I mean, the way it functions, wherever you have flood water stop, you have a lot of debris and a lot of trash. That is the garbage pit of where it stops, you know what it brings. So our heart is not to say no, and I think we conveyed that in our meeting we sat there. I mean, we was trying to come to some type of terms, but our heart was to try to get something to where it would work for us, where we just wasn't gonna lose everything or every time, because you flood our land, and then when it's gone, nobody else knows, we got a mess. And so, our heart is to deal with the issues and help as we can, but we also don't wanna lose our investment and, part of our income that we do with cattle and things. We spend a lot of work and a lot of years putting all that together out there, and we want to try to protect it. We love Seminole, we put a lot of money in Seminole, and we want to see, I want to see downtown back, but I think there's a lot, everybody here can admit, there's a lot of issues downstream, upstream, and there's a lot of problems that we need to come together and fix. I just paid a $300 fine for high grass, and I drove by the park, and there was 6-foot weeds on my way to pay the ticket. And I'm not complaining, I'm explaining. Is if we need to, as a community, come together and get mowers, and we need to say, let's have a work day. And because sometimes, we put a lot of pressure on a lot of a small group. Let's come together and help our community get back. We're better than where we're at right now. And I've got 4 grandkids in the mix. I hope they build homes here. I hope they stay here. You guys can deal with them in your backyard getting balls and running up down. But, I'm just saying, I'm a small community guy. I love people. I feel like we were called to God here. We're not going anywhere. Our hope is not to go anywhere. But I want to be loved. I want to be respected. I want you to respect my family. We're here. We put our life here, and I feel like we've tried to make this place better. So, with that being said, we're here to do what we can, but we don't want to lose everything we work for either. So, I would just ask you to take that into consideration.
And we appreciate you being here. I said it in the last meeting that we had. A lot of Seminole, we've had a lot of battles over the last few years with the school and things of that nature. So anything that will unify our community is just that much better. If we come together and work for downtown, great. We find a solution to this, let's all celebrate it. Let's do it. But we got to get to that point, and we just got to do what we can to get there. So I think it's great. So.
Is there a plan B if that doesn't work for the water?
That'd be Steve was sharing.
No.
What about that big pond behind the Dollar Tree and all that flat land there?
great.
That's where it's all running to
Yeah.
anyway.
That's a great question, and we posed that to the Meshack Engineering. They said, basically, let's try, Troy's offered help, and they own most of that bottom area. The answer is, it's too flat. It's already, that's part of the 250 acre water, acre feet of water area, and if you dig it down 3 feet, it doesn't do anything because the water's going to fill it before you even get a rain.
Steve, can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
On that Woken Creek, that reservoir that's right there south of you, Brad, there is an area in there, and that could be built up, and you can hold a lot more water, or the shed water, not just hold more water. But there is there's probably another 30 feet on banks on both sides that you could enhance that and actually make that a lot bigger. Brad, I think you've seen that, you know what we're talking about.
Yeah, frankly, that wasn't a part of Meshack's study. They indicated it was more coming from Good Hope Baptist Church area down behind Terry Howard's house, and that way the severe basin that is causing the issues is right there.
That's where the water's coming from?
Yes.
Is there not a possibility of doing something on that side? If that's where the majority of the water is coming from?
Well, that's the start. That's the headwater. That they said, okay, bring that back up, Sharon. So the industrial park, everybody familiar with Bar S, where Bar S is? So you'll notice right there where the pointer is, that's Bar S. So all of that water coming from basically Miller Plant Farm, I know I'm using old terms, but pardon me. Basically coming from Miller Plant Farm is half of the equation. So if I jump over here to your left and I solve that problem, I didn't really solve the problem. The real solution is do both.
What about the property that the city owns where Bar S back in there? Is there any of that? I've never walked that out. Is there any areas in there to catch any of that water or not?
Yeah.
Behind, C&J trucks?
Yeah. In fact, I actually asked General Carter and the National Guard to take a look at that with me. The problem is that C&J trucks there on the corner is really low, and especially their injection wells. So if, Sharon, put your pointer up there just on the Highway 99 by SCDC's property.
Right in here?
Yep, right there. The pointer's not working. I'm going to use this pointer. So if you, there you go, right there. If you dam it right there, Tim, I put water in their injection wells at C&J.
Steve, their injection wells are not there. They have a full treatment facility back there that's down in that bowl where it looks like where the tanks are. There's not injection wells there. It's a full treatment facility.
Reclaim.
Now, you have a full reclaim. Now, right behind that, S&J, Stevens and Johnson has some production in there that would maybe be an issue. But C&J's injection well is over just south of Walmart, right there by the Frito-Lay building, across from,
Okay, well,
but they have an oil treatment facility there that's down in that bowl that you're talking about.
you overextended my oil expertise.
And also, Steve, David, he's a neighbor. All that's going to affect David and Terry Hood as well, and actually some other neighbors on the other side. Be involved.
That's all I've got.
Okay. Anybody else have any other comments, council? Okay. We're going to thank you guys for coming. Thank you, Tim, everybody that has some involvement. We
Yep.
appreciate it. So,
Thank
We're gonna go ahead and close the public hearing. We're gonna go backwards one because I didn't see the other presentation on the addendum. These are printed front and back, and I usually do mine side by side. So that's my fault. So, if Jennifer Kramer or Mike Griffin, if you guys are here, go ahead and do your presentation real quick for us.
Get 1,000 acre feet stored.
You doing the talking? You doing the talking? All right. Yeah. You might get a little long-winded. All right. If we could, if we're going to stay around for this, if we could go ahead and have a seat so we can go ahead and keep going, if everybody doesn't mind.
Can you say that louder?
Can everybody hear me?
Yell it. Yeah, can you start it out?
I think everybody.
Yeah, but we want to move on. We gotta get home too.
Guys, we're going to go ahead and keep going. If you'll take a seat, or if you're going to leave, go ahead and do that. If we can maintain it, get a little bit quiet so we can hear them, we'd appreciate it. All right? Are you ready, Jennifer? Everybody else ready?
Is everybody else ready? Well, maybe.
You may have to hold that. Steve, I think, broke that, so.
Okay, my name is Jennifer Kramer. My husband, John, and I have been involved with the Seminole.
Can everybody hear, please? Guys, we're gonna,
Thank you.
we're gonna have to get it quiet in here, please. If you guys need to talk, if you don't mind, to go ahead and exit the room so we can hear, that'd be great. All right, Jennifer, go ahead.
Okay, my name is Jennifer Kramer. My husband, John, and I have been involved with the Seminole Baseball Association for 25 years. I'm not an eloquent speaker, nor am I comfortable doing it, so I'm basically just going to read because I can do that. Y'all are given papers, which is the business side of this, but the heart of all of this is standing right here in front of you, and with our supporters that are with this too. We're the heart and soul of Seminole Baseball Association. There is no way a person can do this for as long as we have and not have our heart and soul in it. Mike has been here for 14 years, so his heart and commitment is in it as well. This man, he's been here for what, 5 years? 4, either way. He's volunteered more time and helped us with many things. Besides our daily field work and concession, we're all volunteers. And we have the best group of volunteers, hands down. Not very many people can get fields destroyed by a natural disaster up and running in 5 days. We've done it twice. We've had a flood. The last one, we got the baseball field up and running so we could have our tournament. The tornado, we had everything tore down, chopped up, sawed up, and we hauled off all our debris, and we were back up and running in 5 days. We played our games. We are here to ask for the renewal of the lease for the Blake Auld Memorial Fields. While we absolutely appreciate the city of Seminole helping us with the lease out at the college, we're ready to go home. I did agree with Mr. Clark last month when he said he misses the hustle and the bustle and the liveliness of the boys down at the ball fields. We do as well. We miss it. But we do feel we have a solid league and a sustainable league. While we don't always run things the way people think we should, we have 120% done things that benefit every player out there. Decisions are made and goals are reached, so every player, boy or girl, will be safe, confident, and ready for the next level of play. We have consistently had over 30 teams for the past 10 years, excluding the COVID years, but we had 21 that year. We're working on getting the league back home. All of this kind of came to a surprise to us. We've had plans in place. We've talked about plans in place. We just didn't know we had to do this. So we do appreciate you giving us this opportunity and to share them with y'all. We would have loved to speak to the Parks Board and shared our ideas with them as well, but we can share them with y'all tonight. As you can read on the plans, we have a donation of lights from the citizens of Potawatomi Nation. They are brand new in the box. They might not be the new LED lights, but they are good quality light that will last a good while. Also, we have, they have a pallet with the replacement bulbs. There's some poles that we can be involved. That's our biggest hurdle that we've had for these 2 years since the tornado, is the lights. We've got those donated. They'll donate it through us. We'll donate them to the city. Mike's gonna speak more on that in a minute. He does the business end. He's the hands-on guy, because there's other repairs that we know that need to be made. I just wanted to say something about the league first and assure you that we are all here because we love the game. We love watching that love of the game either grow or even come alive in some of these kids for the first time. We also volunteer our blood, sweat, and tears for these kids of our community. There's no other reason we do it. There's no other reason why I do it. I can speak personally. There's no other reason why John Kramer does it. It's for the kids. My kids were practically raised on those fields. They have volunteered there themselves. My son now takes a 12 UT every year who wouldn't have a coach unless he stepped up and volunteered. We taught them at an early age that charity is a necessity to have a thriving community. Thank you for your time. Now I hand it to Mike, and he can do the business part.
Yeah. Well, first off, I want to touch on a little bit of that as well. Like Corey stated earlier, there's been a lot of division in Seminole in the last few years over, the new high school and the flood stuff and the damages and things that we've had. I don't want Little League Baseball to be another one of those divisive in Seminole. We don't need any more division. We need to come together as a community and build Seminole better. Donated a lot of time and hours and, personal equipment through the floods and the tornadoes and kept the little kids playing ball. And I'll continue to do that because my heart's for the children. But the lights, in the pamphlets you handed out, sorry, I've got some allergies. In the pamphlets you handed out, there's specifics on the lights. On the back page has the manufacturer specifics. They are not the new LED lights, but they are brand new lights. All it'll cost us, the league or the city, would be the installation. We've got licensed electricians that are willing to donate their time, so essentially it will cost us the materials, wire, etc., to get them installed. That's still gonna be a pricey expenditure. Those things are not cheap. I would guess probably somewhere around $50,000 to $75,000 if I had to guess, just to get them put up. But we can raise money. We've raised money for a lot of other things. We can get corporate sponsors. We can get, like I said, the manpower to put them up. Equipment is not a problem. We can get equipment when we need it, as we've done in the past. We have no issue working with anybody that wants to volunteer their time to come and help the kids of Seminole. Because like it says in the pamphlet there's lots of kids that wouldn't get to play baseball every year if it wasn't for this lady and her husband. I know I personally bought several baseball gloves and pairs of cleats, and jerseys and uniforms over the years out of my pocket just for the love of the game. We know there's other things that need to be addressed. Concession stands, fences, we lost the building for the concession during the tornado. We had to tear it down. It was unsafe. We continued to play on the fields until the insurance inspectors deemed the light poles were unsafe, and we stopped play at that point. Once again, we're grateful for the city of Seminole for helping us be able to play out at the college, but we do want to play at home. The lights have to be addressed first. There's no need in going and mending all these fences and spending thousands of dollars on fences and concession stands if you don't get no lights in the end. It doesn't work out. As most people know that's been through the Little League, it's not a money-making venture. There's no money in it. It maintains itself. It carries the weight of itself. We're not sitting on stacks of money every month. At the end of the season, there's not big bank accounts left. It maintains itself. You buy equipment, every couple of years, lawnmowers, four-wheelers, whatever you need to do the field work, and that's about what money it makes. But we have a plan for fences and concession. We have guys willing to come in and build buildings, bend fences. We have a plan to make fences better, heavier poles, deeper in the ground, maybe withstand some of the flooding issues. I personally, and this man here, have fixed the fence every time it's been laid down. My son, he's not here this evening. He's tied lots of wire at Blake Hall. Lots of other young men in town have as well, and cleaned up storm damage. And we have some future plans, man. We run a good league year in and year out. There's not a community around within driving distance that run a little league like Seminole does. We consistently have large numbers of teams. They don't have to travel. They play every game in every week to Chandler and Tecumseh and Conway. Everything's played right here, and that is a big draw for our out-of-town teams, which in turn brings lots of money to Seminole 4 nights a week. We have, you take 30 teams or 30-plus teams from baseball and 30-plus teams from softball 4 nights a week, that's lots of little kids and families in Seminole eating supper and buying gas and doing other things. And I'll just leave it with that. We run a good league, and we look forward to continuing to do so. You have anything to say?
I'd like to, kind of what you said, Mike, as far as this causing more division. I think this is an opportunity for the community to come together and help out. I hear a lot of complaining about things, and I'll tell you what, I haven't been here as long as these two have. I've been helping them just a few years, and people just wouldn't believe the amount of time and effort they put into these kids and into this.
There's a couple of councilmen who've
This
been
ball.
down there in the break, I know.
So, like I said, there's a lot of complaining. This would be an opportunity for the community to come together and help each other. Let's come together and fix this deal instead of, everybody just complaining. It's a lot easier to complain on the internet and gripe. A little harder to get out on the end of a shoulder or rake.
Amen.
And be part of the solution. So, these guys do a great job, and just there for the kids.
Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you, we appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
All right.
Thank you.
We're going to continue on with approvals and acceptances under bids. Item 1, consideration and possible, does everybody hear me?
Yeah.
I hear you.
Consideration and possible action to approve the single source bid of $348,700 from Silver Star Construction for construction of Latham Pool Products parking lot and truck access drive, CDBG control number 19386, CDBG ED 23.
Can I have a question?
Go ahead.
Steve, can you just explain to me why this is needed?
Okay, yes. So this is a grant that we wrote through the Oklahoma Department of Commerce. It's a pass-through of the Community Development Block Grant HUD funds. And each year, the Department of Commerce sets aside a certain amount to impact communities that have growing businesses. And so in this case, we partnered with Latham Pools. They pledged so many new jobs, and we wrote the grant based upon the number of new jobs and the wages that they were going to pay. And we are allowed to build, in this case, a parking lot on their behalf with the grant funds.
Okay.
So they need it for employee parking. Is that too simple an answer?
Nope.
Okay.
That's good. So just to be clear, because that's kind of where I was headed at, but you answered the question before I could ask it, was how are these businesses chosen to get this type of help? And from what I hear you say, it's the amount of employees they're bringing in and the pay that they're going to bring their employees in, right? A respectable living wage, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And all private companies are eligible to apply through the city of Seminole, but it does require job creation. In most cases, we're talking about manufacturing. I can't think of any that would qualify under retail. Maybe a distribution center for Amazon or something might qualify, but yeah, they do have to be quality. And these are competitive applications. So we're competing against Bartlesville and Lawton, other communities. Well, Lawton's probably got theirs direct, but Altus, for example. And there's a scoring criteria. I'd be glad to provide you with the scoring criteria. They give you so many points if you're in a disadvantaged community. they give you so many points if the wages are 80% of median and above. It's extensive.
Steve, is this just for new in that criteria? Is it for new builds, like brand new businesses?
No,
No?
no. In fact, we've applied for Enviro Systems, had one. Oklahoma Custom Coating had an application. They ended up pulling that early and going a different direction with quality jobs, small quality jobs. So, but yeah, no, it's for existing companies as well. As if they're growing, they do have to pledge jobs. We have to go back and track those jobs and the wages that are being paid.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please, Jay.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Trace Connor. Yes. Ms. Anson. Yes. Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, moving on to resolutions. Under item 2, consideration and action upon resolution ratifying and authorizing and approving the incurring of indebtedness by the trustees of the Seminole Economic Development Council to be accomplished by the issuance of tax increment revenue bonds, notes, and other evidences of indebtedness in one or more series on a tax-exempt or taxable basis at a premium or discount in the aggregate principal par amount not to exceed $53 million to provide funds required to complete the acquisition, construction, equipping, and improving of public infrastructure within increment District Number 2, City of Seminole, Oklahoma, and financing development incentives related thereto, establish a reserve fund, if any, capitalize interest and pay costs of issuance and all matters related thereto, including but not limited to the waiver of competitive bidding thereof, and declaring an emergency.
Very good.
That was long.
So this evening, we have the privilege of having a professional golfer in our midst. It sidelines as our public finance advisor. Randy Nelson, he's our financial advisor, and he's here to answer any questions you might have.
My name's Randy Nelson. I'm the financial advisor for SEDC. Been with them for a couple of years on this project. This was basically 2 weeks ago, SEDC reauthorized the resolution issuing the $53 million of taxes and bonds for the TIF district, the Seminole Town Center project. Since SEDC is the beneficiary of the city of Seminole, we need the city's approval of the resolution that they passed 2 weeks ago. We have no liability from the city, no liability from SEDC. This is a developer-driven project for infrastructure and based off the ad valorem revenues that seems to have worked for a couple of years. We think we've got a buyer for the bonds, a financial institution, so we had to make some structural changes to the resolution to hopefully get this financial institution fund the first half of this year, later this month or early August, isn't quite happening. So we're just asking for approval of the SEDC authorization resolution.
So if I could give a quick recap, the project itself is what we've known as the Town Center project. It's the one that's building the hotel behind Haney Center and the 33 homes that are erected already. All of that infrastructure is what we're talking about paying for with these bonds. And when I say we, the TIF district actually establishes a property tax floor and anything above it. So when the hotel and the shops and the houses come on the tax rolls, those property taxes will be captured to pay for the infrastructure that's being done out there. So it's a pretty nifty deal. Norman has dozens of these TIF districts. Anywhere that you're seeing new development, Midwest City, if you've been to the Target and up through there, you've seen TIF districts in operation. The important thing that you need to leave with tonight is an understanding that the city nor SEDC have any liability on this. This is, all we're doing is pledging the property taxes that are collected. There's no recourse. If they buy the bonds, they're buying the line of revenue, right?
So we're pledging future taxes. Is that what you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Property.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Can we get a roll call, please? Please.
I did say roll call, yeah.
Yes, sir. Tim Poplin.
Is this a roll call or we're voting on the,
Roll call.
Are we voting?
we're voting?
Ratifying.
Yes. Yes is the
Thank you,
answer.
sir. Corey Crabtree,
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Under current business, item 3, discussion and action resulting from the public hearing dealing with flood issues. Not
just-
really any action.
Yeah, I just put it on there in case you guys had anything to,
I motion that Steve figures it out.
Yeah. You want to vote on that?
Yeah. Reports back tomorrow.
All right, so we need to take no action on that. Right. All right, moving on to item 4. Consideration and possible action to approve fiscal year 2025 cooperative agreement with the Oklahoma Tobacco Settlement Endowment Trust, TSET, effective from July 1, 2024 through June 30th, 2025, for Phase 2 construction of Boomtown Playground.
Move approval. Second.
Roll call, please, Jay.
Tim Poplin.
Yes, sir.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Trace Connor. Chris Anson,
Yes.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, item 5, consideration and possible action to approve additional grant funding of $76,500 from the Oklahoma Department of Commerce or CDBG-CV3 18466 CDBG-CR 20 from the replacement of HVAC units at the community room and library.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please, Jay.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, item 6, consideration and possible action to approve comprehensive plan Phase 2 for fiscal year 2024 to 2025 at a cost of $68,000, an increase of $18,000 over the budgeted capital improvement project CIP funds of $50,000. If approved, the $18,000 overage will be taken from an expected excess of funds budgeted for the FAA taxiway project.
Move to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please, Jay.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, consideration and possible action to approve the staff recommended request for proposals, RFP, format for Youth Baseball League's tournament provider. If approved, RFPs will be solicited for submission on August 26th with the Park Board approval recommendation on September 4th and City Council approval at the regular City Council meeting on September 10th.
We'll have some discussion on this. I have some issues with the proposal.
yes, sir.
It mentions adults in there, and I know nowhere where you've talked about having any kind of adult program at all, but the RFP specifically mentions adult. And so I have an issue with that. It
Okay.
also it says that whoever bids on this needs to be a certified 501c3. Well, I can tell you, they're not gonna get approval through the IRS and back from the state in time to submit this bid. So requesting a 501c3 means they have to have it in place right now, which to me limits competition. And so I think that's a bad part of this RFP. I just have a lot of issues with it, about what it's asked for. I want to ask a question, if we're doing this now for youth baseball, where's the softball RFP? Why am I not doing, if I'm gonna do this with everything, then why aren't we doing it with everything? Not that I want to, mind you, but it doesn't seem fair to me to do a baseball RFP and softball stands by itself. I I don't see any benefit in doing that. And it also amazed me, just a perspective, somebody's gonna have to explain to me why the city charges these teams to play baseball. We don't charge any kids at the splash pad. We don't charge somebody for using Chase Park, but we charge kids playing baseball. I have a real issue with that. You know, that's the problem. So I don't know where the RFP came from or what community you borrowed it from, but it just doesn't seem to fit Seminole.
Okay.
And especially having it done in this time frame. Besides that, you're asking to have approval for when everything's over for this year. So why the rush?
For fall ball, I think.
Fall ball's already started, hasn't it?
No.
No, we're doing it for fall ball.
Fall ball is in,
And
if we did this in the Waterville, September, when's fall ball start?
Second week of September.
So whoever, if we gave this to somebody, they'd have to start it right then, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sign up starts this month. You get it.
Yeah, I understand. My point is that if it was awarded to a group that had not been involved in this, there's no way they could do that, period. They wouldn't have had signups or anything. So like I said, I think it's, yeah, I don't like it. I mean, I don't have any problem with doing an RFP process if we're gonna do it, but I think we need to spend a little bit more time on the development of our RFP than this.
So, we've got an issue with timeline, first off, for fall ball, right? Is one of the
I've got
issues.
an issue with how you're gonna get them a 501c3 and back.
I'm just going through the list so I can make a list, but we've got a problem with RFPs.
It mentions adults as well.
Sharon.
The RFP mentions adults.
Can you pull that up and see? I thought
We don't have
eliminated
adults
the 501.
that I'm aware of.
So one of the things, if I might interject something on the 501c3 issue. So you're right. To be a nonprofit, you can incorporate immediately in one day as a nonprofit corporation. And you can actually operate temporarily as a 501c3, but you do have to make application to the IRS. I can't remember the exact form, but it's a 50-page form that you have to submit, and it can take up to 18 months to get final approval for to be certified as a 501c3. Now, you can still operate as a nonprofit, and the IRS will give you a grace period, it's my understanding, where you can operate and will have to operate in a nonprofit status, and then they'll grant that retroactively. So probably to answer your question, if that's not been removed, if you want to require it to be a nonprofit, it might be best to change the language to operate as a nonprofit. It's up to them, whoever that organization is, to get properly credentialed with the OTC and the IRS. So that might be one solution as far as the wording on an RFP, if that helps. But I know, I've done a lot of these on the attorney side, and usually we set them up for just different endeavors, right? I don't think we did one for our first Boomtown, but we do it for foundations, and you see a lot of times people scholarships and things like that. But you can take money and you can report it, and there's a certain limit. I think anything over $10,000 once you get certified has to be a full tax return. Anything less than that's kind of an abbreviated form, but you have to do that through the IRS, and you still have to do that through the temporary period, if that helps.
But it specifically asks for the form from the state of Oklahoma. And is the state of Oklahoma going to issue that on a temporary that you have?
Yeah, so you'll incorporate as a nonprofit organization. You'll usually approve within about 48 hours. They'll have to set up bylaws and all of that, and that'll have to be done properly. And then usually an accountant I would hope somebody with a tax background would submit the proper, at that point, once, you have to have that first to be, for the state to recognize you as a nonprofit. And then you go through to get the tax exempt status. That's the process. It takes a little bit longer.
I have a question, Mayor. What, I really don't understand this. If you pass this, is it taking away from what they've been doing for the last 20 years? It's totally gonna change everything for what we've been doing?
I think what we're trying to do, number one, is decide, does the council want to go forward and open it for requests for proposals? This was just a draft. That's all it is. And frankly, I thought the 501s, I caught it right away. I didn't catch the adult league, but we had eliminated in the second draft the 501c requirement. So the real question before you tonight is, do we want to open it up for RFPs? And the answer to your question, the direct answer is, what it will do is require them to put on paper what they've been doing for 20 years and submit it as a request for proposal.
Again, is this gonna be the same with the softball program?
That's not on the table just yet. I think there have been people that are interested in doing the softball, but we have not opened that up for RFP. Right now, the hot button issue was baseball, and we were trying to put that up in front of you to be able to solve it.
And so the park board that's not ever had any impact on baseball is now have right to recommend who we choose, right?
Could I say, Steve?
Hold on.
The park board does not have a right to choose. That's a city council's
Yeah,
prerogative.
But this establishes them now between the proposals and us as somebody who's gonna recommend who gets it. They've never been involved in the past. All of a sudden, have they been trained about what they're looking for?
That's, hey, we serve at your pleasure. If you decide you do not want a middleman to score the criteria, we can bring it direct to the council. You tell us how you want to do it.
I think this was birthed out of the fact that we have another proposal that was brought to light, and we're just trying to be fair to everybody. So the sequence on this is all new to us. So how we do it is up to us, and I think this is just a first rough draft of saying, hey, here's our go at it, what do we need to change and what we need to do. I think that's just mainly what we're doing. And I think that the park board, I don't know that they've ever been, I think, you guys may have went to the park board just to give a presentation thinking that was where you were supposed to go, because it was a park in the city. And so now that they've been involved, I don't see it as necessarily a bad thing they're involved, and really, they're just doing a recommendation, they're not actually picking who they think should do it. They're just making a recommendation on what they see would enhance the life of the park.
Yeah. So it'll be the same as we go through golf
Yeah.
next year, right? But they'll be the ones that get it and score it and recommend us.
Yeah, I mean, they're just putting their 2 cents in as well, and I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing to have two eyes looking at something, but, I mean, just like this, you caught things that we didn't catch. That's
Well, I
great.
can also tell you what you got the last time was not a proposal. There was no proposal, because you see by this proposal, there's a lot of things you want answered. What we got was not a proposal. It was a statement of fact that they were gonna do this, and they're gonna, not any cost, not any, how many, nothing that you put in a proposal, an RFP.
And which, that could be something we could go back to and revise and ask for, because obviously they're going back again.
Well, if we have to, that, what they presented would not meet this criteria anyway.
Gotcha. Good catch. Go ahead, Tim.
I will live by the rules. It says, consideration and possible action to approve the staff recommendations. Who is the staff recommendations on
We're
this?
just recommending that we do a request for proposals.
Who's the staff?
City staff. They're just recommending that we go out out and get proposals and not limit it to one person.
So somebody has a rub with the way we've been doing it in the past, sounds like to me. Let's call a spade a spade. Somebody is not happy with the way the baseball's been run for the last 20 years, is that correct?
Not a staff member, I don't think.
No, somebody's caused a rub. Is it the counting that they're upset about? I mean, I don't understand what the big rub is here.
Who's the city?
Yeah, who's the city? It's us. It's everybody out here. They're all the city. I think it's a public hearing. I mean, a discussion. I don't think any decisions need to be made right now, and I know that's not what you're asking, but I really don't understand what's really going on here, so I'm going to just have to be informed a little bit more. But I just don't think somebody that's worked and dedicated for 20 years, we're just going to kick them out. I have nothing to do with that. Okay, I'll shut up.
No, that's,
But hey, I said my piece, but
yes, sir.
let it go, Steve.
Yes, sir. So last city council meeting, we had several citizens show, and a park board member in particular spoke. And they indicated that, hey, we've got other people that are interested in running the league. And we feel like we can do it different and probably better. And that was them speaking. And we felt like there was movement among the city council without actually having a directive for me to go do it. We were trying to be proactive and provide you guys with some solutions. The solution is to go out for a request for proposals. We went to several communities, looked at proposals that they had taken in the past, and put together what you have in front of you. It is not perfect. It is the first draft. We're not trying to give you something that you have to swallow or not. The answer to your question is yes, I believe they did have a rub with the way it's been operated. I don't know about 20 years, but certainly within the last several years, they had issues.
Are they willing to?
That's what
I'm
this.
just going to hush up. This is a meeting.
Well, that's what the RFP is. Let's quantify what you're saying. Rather than stand at the podium and give us beautiful language, we kind of need to dig down and find out, what does that mean?
Yes.
And that's what the RFP was intended to do. So if I offended you, I certainly apologize. That was not the intent.
No, not offending me, but I mean, it just, to me, the public is kind of speaking out here, and I'm just not going to run over them. There's history here behind, and I just don't want to, if they need to do better accounting principles or something, somebody step up and tell them what they need to do to make people happy. Just don't change the whole rigmarole. But anyway, that's my 2 cents worth, and I think we'll have more discussions on it. It's a late night. We've been here a long time. I really enjoyed what you brought up, Eddie. Thank you. That was above my head. I'm sorry.
I would tell you, Tim, that involved in youth sports, you're always gonna have somebody complaining all the time.
Sure, I coached.
Never goes away.
I had 2 boys. I coached them.
Yeah.
Football, baseball. I refuse to do soccer. But anyway, I'll hush. Move to the next one. Move to the next one. I'll be quiet. But I said my piece. Put it on the record.
I'm the one I'm part of the Clark group, right, that put the proposal in last. I'm Garrett Clark, for you guys who don't know me. My brother, he was the one that gave the eloquent speech, right, with the great words.
Do we need to?
I don't
Can
know.
we
if you
allow?
guys want-
I don't know if we can allow it.
Yeah,
Since it's
that's my, I don't know the rules.
That's the
Yeah.
deal. That's why.
Yeah, I probably need to step in there. You just identified himself. Yeah, probably need to confine it within the,
We have to keep it from the council members.
yeah, the marks.
Yeah, that's the way it is.
Sorry, brother.
I'll be here afterwards if you guys have any
Yeah.
questions. I'd love to
See you
talk to
afterwards.
anybody who wants to stay around.
All right. Go ahead, Danny. You had a question or comment.
So I am for a fair and unbiased, unemotional decision-making process anytime we can do it. There was someone that had mentioned someone's name earlier, and I had to turn to Chris, and I said, I don't know who they're talking about. People are throwing out names like we've all been best friends or family since forever. I've lived here my whole life, but I don't know who you know, and I'm not friends with who you're friends with. So I feel like I have an advantage a lot of times because I'm coming in unbiased and unadulterated in my decision making because I don't have personal relationships with the same people everybody else does. So I'm always looking for, like you said, check the box, quantify. Man, that when you say quantify, now you're speaking my language. Because I will say, when I first came onto this council about 2 years ago, and I don't know if you all remember this, but it has been burned in my brain. We had a discussion about the golf lease, and I've wanted a very, very clean RFP process since then, because I just had some very basic questions, and I was appalled when I got here, and I don't know anybody on that lease, so it's not personal. But I think I just asked, and everybody was like, motion to approve. Yes, 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 yes. And I was like, well, wait a minute, I have a question. What are we talking about? What are the deliverables? In a contract, there should be deliverables, there should be expectations set, and there should be it's a type of a contract, so let's talk about that. And I'll remember, and I don't know if you'll remember who said this, but at that time, I think there were some people who got their maybe their feelings hurt because I was asking a lot of questions, and someone had said, well, it's a good old boy system. We all know each other. I was shocked about that, like that was said in public. And then I asked about another one, and another person said, and I'll never forget this one, well, he's a good guy, he goes to all the Seminole football games. Well, what the heck? What does that have to do with the fact that you can provide a service that this city needs? That still bothers me. So when I see this coming up, and again, I don't have, my boys are grown, and they don't play baseball anymore, but I know I want to see baseball, be revitalized in this town, and I don't have personal relationships, so I'm trying to look at it from a very objective way, and I think the RFP process is the best way to do that. I would like to see it for any kind of lease we do. If you'll recall, almost in every meeting when there's a bid that we're looking at, I'll ask Steve, was this a competitive bid? Was it published? Was there a fair opportunity for people to be able to throw their hat in the ring to provide this service? So baseball aside, all of the emotions aside, if we could have a fair process for every lease that we do, for every partnership we have, I think is the best way to move forward. So we can, in my opinion, not have the good old boy process. We cannot have the basing these decisions on who we know as a friend or, personal relationships. I don't think that's the best way to operate a city government. So just, we're all throwing our 2 cents in there. I'm actually for an unbiased, quantifiable process, not just for baseball, but for golf, for softball, any other leases that we may have in the future. It just, unfortunately, this has to be the first one. Someone's always going to be the first one. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Should this be tabled?
I mean, there's really no, if there's too much to change, in your opinion, in what we got in there, we really can't vote on anything. So do we need to table it and put it back on the agenda in a different format with a different RFP process?
Absolutely. You guys tell me what you want. If you don't want to see it again, we'll forget it.
I don't think that was his intention. I think his intention was to make it relative to what we're doing. You take the adults out, the 501c3, if it's not accomplished, if you can't do it in the timeline. I think those are what you, correct me if I'm wrong.
I
think
just
that's what
saw
you were
things
getting.
that I would think it could be a better RFP, that's all. I mean, I certainly wouldn't be able to draft one as thorough as this probably, but I just think to speak to Dana's issue, I think there's some deliverables for this baseball that I don't see in the RFP. I'm sorry, I don't. I mean, normally you would ask the number of teams you expect, how many kids, what kind of revenue that generates. all that kind of thing.
Yeah, so can we talk about that for a second? Because that was a discussion that we had in terms of the staff. In most of the contracts we have, like, let's take the airport or golf course, or, you know, when we've got a facility that we lease to someone else to operate, we don't require a financial accountability. And I think, this is an opinion, I think part of the problem with the baseball specifically is that the parents think that there's just a gob of money being made here. They don't think about the umpires being paid. They don't think about the cost of chalk or the bases that have to be purchased. If you want financial accountability, we can put it in there, but it will be unusual. It's more of a service that they're contracting for than it is whether or not we keep track and have it audited. And I think that's a misconception from the public side is, hey, they're walking out of here with my money in their pocket and those kids should be benefiting. It's difficult, really difficult to break even, in my opinion, just having been around it some. And I don't think that we want, as a staff, that we want to be in there trying to track, all right, how many Dr. Peppers did you sell tonight? So if that's part of the RFP that you want, we'll do it, but I would recommend against that.
I understand, having been a spot where, you know, we didn't do that. I know I was in a fortunate area where everything was paid for by the city, all the equipment, and they relied on the revenue, which had nothing to do with the cost of operation. I mean, you don't have 20 ball fields lighted and think the city's not paying it costs. Yeah, but I'd certainly like to see it address other things. I mean, things that would be important to that. I think about, you know, how many kids, for instance, how many kids would be turned away if they don't have the money to register? Things like that. How are you gonna cover that?
Right.
That kind of thing.
Okay.
That's all.
You bet.
I agree with you.
I'm kind of torn on this because you'd really like to know how much money flows out of places because you're just curious.
Yeah.
If you ever own a business, you're really curious. You made $10,000 today. I didn't get none of that, and I got no toilet paper in the bathroom. That's the first thing people are going to complain about. To me, I don't think people understand
Yeah.
in this situation that I've leased this to you. You're a business. I don't care if you lose money.
Right.
What I do care about is how many teams you had.
Right.
Did every kid get to play? And did what you did bring business to my town? And the rest of it, I don't care if you lost $2,000. That's your problem.
Yeah.
I don't really want to know. All I want to know is that you're sustaining and you're getting kids that you can play ball. I mean, it's curiosity for everybody. You always want to know how much money somebody makes. It's human nature. But again, it's your business, you know. But I mean, he's right in one way. We probably need to nail down the specifics on what we want in the RFP
Okay.
versus.
We can do that.
Versus it being very general. And if you want my opinion, I don't want to know the financial information. I'm just being honest with you. I think our from the city standpoint, they pay league fees, in my opinion, what I've always understood, to maintain the fields.
Right.
That's their payment to maintain the fields, buy the bases, mow the lawns, whatever you got to do. Our benefit for the city is the fact that these 30 teams are showing up and spending money in our town. That's where our money comes from. That's my personal opinion, but.
Okay.
Tournaments are probably a little bit different, but.
Okay.
Again, they have to hire people to work those, so. I'm
Or
not
if we
paying.
keep tabling this, though, isn't this messing with their fall ball schedule?
That was gonna be my next question, yeah. I mean, that was my next.
At some point, we're gonna have to vote on something, right?
So one of the things that we're going to ask as a staff, if you guys decide to go with an RFP and a contract that results from the RFP, is that this contract be executed through one of the authorities so that it can go through a calendar year. So rather than us trying to do spring baseball and they still are under contract and then all of a sudden Now we've got to rush and do the fall ball contract. I think one of the things that we would recommend is we do an authority that can span a calendar year instead of a fiscal year.
I think it's a good time to do a Parks and Recreation Authority.
I mean, to be honest, I don't think we have time to come up with the specifics and you request an RFP for.
Okay.
Okay. That's my personal opinion.
Understood.
I'm just being honest. I don't think that you guys would probably agree with that. I don't think we have time to do that unless you do a special meeting and then get things approved at the next city council meeting the first 2 weeks of the month. I don't know that we have time.
Yeah, let's just make a rush decision.
Let's do.
Well, it's not rushed, we talked about it the last meeting, right? And we had the,
It was just a
to
presentation. We
review.
didn't have an agenda item. It was just, yeah, just presentation.
So, just to clarify, you do want the staff to go back and take another shot at another draft of an RFP?
I think it's necessary, given what he's pointed out.
Okay.
We have to vote.
Well, can we, Gene?
Does that have to be a proposal?
No,
Motion?
no, that's not what I'm saying. I was going to say, you know, we can't all put our 2 cents worth in, be asked of that prior to a meeting, but could maybe 1 or 2 of you, you know, maybe Eddie, since he's got issues with it, would like to see some things in it, maybe get it to him a week or so ahead of the next meeting so he can review it for changes that he might like, because, you know, when we get these and we can't do anything about it, you know, we don't have time to do a committee, but maybe have, you know, 1 or 2 of you, maybe the 2 of you maybe want to get together a week ahead of time and, because, I'm just saying.
Look, I've got very limited knowledge on sports and stuff like that, I was gonna tell you. Now, the other stuff I could say I would love to see, but.
Well, Eddie, would you like to have them get it to you a week or so ahead so you can review it?
I wouldn't mind working with, as long as Steve furnishes coffee.
I can do that.
Well, I would just like to make that suggestion, that's all, so,
We can do it.
okay.
Okay. So we need to table this, or do we just need to, do we need to do any kind of motion at all?
Table is good. That
Okay.
means it comes back next month.
All right, we're gonna table it and we'll come back around once you have a new RFP to look at.
That requires a motion to table it, though.
Yes.
John, what are you thinking?
I'm not gonna say nothing. I mean, for doing this,
Anything?
yeah, that'd be fine with me.
So do we need a motion to table?
So moved.
Need a vote?
Yes, just a roll call vote.
Okay. All right, so do we have
I mean,
a
I
I
wish it
might-
was resolved right now, like
I might
Tim,
make
but
it
I wanna do
a
it the
motion
right way.
to table with instructions to go back and revise the RFP.
Okay.
Staff recommendation.
Someone have that motion?
I move. We table this.
Someone want to
Second.
that? Gonna do roll call, please, Jay?
Yes, sir. Tim Poplin,
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Larry Church,
Yes.
Trace Connor,
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
Eddie Foreman,
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion to table passes.
All right. Moving on to item 8. Consideration and possible action to approve the cloud permit software service agreement for the city licensing, permitting, and code enforcement software at a cost of $17,000 the first year and then $11,000 for each of the 2 following years. The capital improvement project budgeted for fiscal year 2024 to 2025.
Just because our current software is no longer being
Right.
updated, correct?
Sunset.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please, Jay.
Tim Poplin.
Yes, sir.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Dana Miller,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, on item 9, I think we probably need to take this one out of the.
They just
flow.
left, so I'm assuming they got all the, oh, there he is.
Wait to speak.
Yeah, so now you can have the discussion with John and Jennifer.
Okay.
Or, excuse me, Mike Griffin and Jennifer Kramer.
All I'm gonna say is, tabling it for a month seriously pushes the timeline
That's what I
for fall
said.
baseball. That pushes us a month behind, that puts us playing fall baseball in late November.
Exactly.
It's,
So,
sign-up starting in 2 weeks.
So-
Last week of July, sign-up start.
I didn't know that.
That pushes
I
us,
wasn't aware.
Mm-hmm.
that pushes us back into late November playing fall baseball. You can't
so
make that work.
the intention in the RFP was for a contract beginning July 1st, 2025. It does not contemplated anything in 2024.
To speak to that again, Steve, because if you don't know, baseball seasons and softball as well, anything that goes under USSSA guidelines like we do, the season starts for 2025 in August 1 of '24. In travel baseball, anything that's under USSSA or OKGIP guidelines, it runs like a fiscal year. The season starts August 1 or July 1 if you're playing tournament baseball. That's why the timeline is detrimental. Not only do we house teams that play locally,
We should have known that before
we
we
have
bought
kids
the
that
table.
also play in travel baseball and teams that come from out of town that play in our league and also play tournament baseball. So pushing the timeline back a month not only affects me and my baseball team, but 37 other baseball teams that play baseball in Seminole. It affects
So-
everybody pushing it a month.
So, since there's no current contract technically in play, right?
Right.
There's really nothing we have to change. We can proceed as normal, get the RFPs and decide at that point when we want to initiate the new contracts, correct? If we do it through an authority for a calendar year, if we want to do it for the next fiscal year, that's something we can, we would just proceed as normal, right? Is that my understanding? Because
I
don't know what
I
you're
have another question.
there's
to
no
that as well,
contract
then.
in place.
If we do proceed as normal, in the next council meeting, or the one after that, you decide to go a different direction, which can happen, things happen. What happens then to the 37 teams that's playing ball in Seminole?
That signed up with you and not
That signed
the
up
other
with
one.
Seminole Baseball
Right.
I don't think that we could change that. So we would proceed as normal
That's
through
my
fall
question.
ball season.
But it affects the spring season, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
It runs like a fiscal year.
Yep.
So it would have,
affects the spring ball season as well. It doesn't just affect fall ball.
so it would have to make changes for next year, then, is what it would have to do. Essentially.
I think so, I mean.
We got other
That's
people.
Well,
right.
we're in discussion,
Yeah,
so, yeah.
you can-
have at it.
that's right.
So,
Yeah, that's
our
right.
proposal was for Blake Oldfields, right? That was what our proposal was, to renovate, fix up Blake Oldfields. My understanding, fall ball isn't played on Blake Oldfields, it's played at the softball complex.
No, sir. The tournaments are held,
The only reason why we did that is because we didn't have lights on with the day at night.
tournaments are held for baseball at the softball complex because we play, you can only play limited games at Blake Hall because of lighting issue. It's not cost effective to play tournaments at college. The league can't afford it, the city
Right.
can't afford to play weekend games at
Yep.
college. So we spread them out wherever we can get them.
Right.
We play at softball, we play at Blake Hall, we play there. Wherever we can get field space with lighting. Even at the college fields, we're limited on lighting. That's why so much baseball is played at the softball complex.
Yep, yep.
Because we're limited on lighting out there as well. Temporary lighting, such as, light plants
Yep.
aren't tall enough. They're okay for T-ball and AU baseball. They're not tall enough lighting for 10s and 12s. The lights in their eyes, it doesn't work. We've explored all lighting options between us and the city. The guys on the ground in the city have explored all lighting options.
Yeah, so I'll just say that was our proposal, was for the Blake Hall Fields. If there's, and I know the contract, that when I talked to Ryan Baker about the contract for the Blake Hall Fields, it was due like June 28th. That was the lease agreement that we had put the proposal in. So anything other than that, baseball leagues, playing at the softball fields, playing at Seminole State, our proposal is to fix up the Blake Hall Fields. So, and from our position, our goal was to try to get it fixed up to have a fall baseball league, but if this keeps dragging out to the point where we can't put any work into it before that, then it is what it is, I guess. But and it's y'all's decision, right? That was the
Blake
whole.
Old is playable now.
We played there.
We played our postseason tournament there. I'm in the fences myself in the dirt. It's playable now. We just don't have a lot of.
It's playable.
We can't play at night.
You can't play it not, right? It's playable. But like from our, I don't want to get into it, you know, I know we're running out of time, but our part is doing renovations to make the fields better, right? So they're there, our part is to make the fields better.
I guess my question is there a current contract in play that we are renewing? That's my question.
We're still waiting on it. That's what we can't.
I don't-
We're in a limbo right now.
Right.
But he's saying no, there's not a current contract that was ever signed.
We don't have a baseball.
We don't have a baseball contract, so it doesn't
So
matter.
it is, but if we keep going,
You would.
I think that's what his concern is if we keep going and we do finally award one 2 months down the road.
You can't award one 2 months down the road, is what we're getting at. You would have to wait till you'd have to wait till next year.
Yeah,
Is what you-
fall
is what
ball
you have
affects
to do.
spring ball in turn.
Which is what's happened all year. That's what happened.
You know, all I know is you're affecting a bunch of kids by worrying about, I mean,
We don't turn kids down. They play. We give them cleats. We give them baseball bats. We give them helmets. There's no, yeah, I sponsored, or the league sponsored 27 boys alone this year.
y'all wanna change it. Y'all wanna change that, huh?
But I'm just saying.
What's the question? I'm sorry.
I don't know, we're not changing that. We're not changing.
No, the question is, if we don't come to some kind of decision, whichever that is, you're gonna have a bunch of kids not gonna be able to play baseball, and that's not right for us arguing or not arguing, but can't come to a decision over kids playing baseball.
You're not hurting anything.
How are the kids
There's
not
a
playing
current
baseball?
contract.
Well, if we don't get a contract, are they gonna,
There's not a contract in place.
It's because there's two
There's nothing that's going
wanting
to
the field.
expire or
There would be.
restart.
If
This
they
is a
had
whole
not
new
done
deal.
anything last week, they would be.
There's never been a contract.
There has always been a contract for every year. Every year.
Not with baseball.
Not with baseball. That's what I'm saying.
They have not given me a contract in a while.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I was asking Steve. There's
Oh, that
no
is?
current contract in place.
Either way, we still get it.
You need to do it. I'm not saying we don't need to do it. I'm just saying you really want to interrupt. the
We don't
whole
have time to
process
do
of
it
the
now.
year. That's what I'm getting at. You can't. I mean, I'm
And
just.
like Mike said, we don't want division. I never wanted that. When I first found out, I reached out to him and asked him to come in and help. Asked him to take over the T-ball and the 8U for volleyball. He could run with it, he could do what, I have no expectations of being here forever. I've got 4 grandkids, I'm 56 years old. I busted my butt, John has busted his ass, he's, to give a hand down something good. I don't want to hand it to somebody that's going to charge $120 to get through the pay, and, sorry, I'm getting emotional. And hand it to him when I busted my ass. When like, he can't even extend me 5 minutes of conversation about him possibly taking over the whole thing at some point. He's got 3 boys, he's got 3 young ones. We just want to make sure it's somebody that cares about all the kids,
That
not
loves
his
Seminole
kids, not
baseball
his
for
field.
every kid in Seminole.
Right.
I'm gonna tell you what I'd like to see, and this is my personal opinion. I'd like to see it continue as is and you help them the next year and make preparations. You guys go together and form a new 501c3 that involves everybody in this darn community. You do that, make it happen, and at some point, you're gonna exit that out. I mean, you, just like you said, you're not gonna be around forever.
I know, but we've also built this one, there's 38 teams.
That's- yeah.
I've also got into work with other, Calvin brought their whole league over.
There's no other towns around here that
Yeah,
have a comparable
Holyfield
league.
doesn't have a league.
I'm just
Walker
saying-
has young ones.
I'm just saying, I would love to see everybody work together for a year, because at the end of the year, you guys would be like, hey, we can just do this as we've been doing it. And let's do this in a different way.
And
I would love for everybody to work together.
Is
Again, we're going back to
aware-
the emotions, we need to just do the.
We do
Yeah.
softball and baseball.
We just need to
This is
do
not-
a contract, do an RFP, get it done.
Not if it's gonna interrupt the season. We don't have time.
But when are we ever gonna be, when is it gonna meet everybody's expectations?
I don't think it's gonna be everybody's expectations. I just think you we're at
We've
an
got to call it
unfortunate,
at some point.
we're at an unfortunate crossroads where it's timing is all it is. It's just like, it started out at a bad time, now we have no time to prep because we only do council meetings.
We also do softball. This is one-sided. He only wants baseball. So what does that do for the softball group? We don't just do baseball. We
Right.
do it for all the kids in Seminole.
Right, and I understand that. I'm just saying, I'm trying to
You know what
cause
I'm
the least
saying?
interruption.
It's one-sided in this meeting because we're just talking about baseball, but it's bigger than that.
It is. So I guess the decision we gotta make is, do we even have enough time to do anything? If we don't have enough time to do anything, it's a moot point.
Are you asking me or Brad?
I'm asking anybody,
I'm just a legal advisor, I'm not, I'm not a policymaker.
Listen, I'm doing this, a discussion, I'm just having a discussion, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Just a flag.
Hey, and I say that's one of the reasons we asked just for baseball, right? So we didn't ask for softball. We didn't ask for softball, we asked just for baseball. That's all we're looking at doing is fixing up to play cold fields and run baseball. So, I think from our perspective, is we wanna run it on our own, we'll take your feedback and everything, and that's what I said to you on the phone call when I talked to you, and I tried to call John.
I heard what you
right?
said to her on the
So,
speakerphone.
And I think from my
Commander in
perspective,
chief kind of guy.
I wanna operate on my own with my group, right? And we'll take your help as you wanna get it. And I think that's where we're sitting. And I think just from the Clark proposal, we need to come to this, we need city council to make a decision and make a decision at, I'd say, probably August timeframe. That's kind of what we were expecting based off of this RFP for the Blake All Fields, right? For the Blake All Fields, that's what we're looking for.
Why do you have a special
Yeah, why do you just come in and just be one-sided?
What do you mean one side?
Why just put baseball?
Because of the Blake All Fields for the baseball.
Hold on, guys,
Community.
you guys, not to put any damper on your conversation, this is just for, merely was for the discussion of the proposal that they issued, so we kind of got to round this up a little bit.
I just wanted to
But,
clarify timeline.
Because then
Yeah.
should they be talking to us and
And-
not each other?
yeah, and I'm okay with that. I mean, we need clarification on that. So where do we go from here? Because we got timeline of what? What day you have to have everything done if you were going to change it over? What would that day be?
Sign up starts July 25th. That way they have a month to practice and games start right after Labor Day.
You know, it's the whole meeting earlier, the town was gonna come together on all these things, the flood issues and everything. Now we're butting heads over kids' baseball. Man, we should be proud of ourselves, people. Let's be proud of ourselves. Come on, this is ridiculous, man. Is baseball gonna be, why are you wanting to do what you're wanting to do?
Why do I want to
Yes.
fix up the, have you been by the baseball field?
Yes, but what,
So I've lived in Seminole, pretty much my entire life. Graduated from here, I've moved away, I've lived in Louisiana, I've lived in.
we've heard all of that. But what's
Right.
your intention, sir? I don't mean to be rude, but it's late. What is your intentions? Is it the kids? Is it a business? You're gonna start charging more for these kids to come in and play ball?
Yeah, I don't know where that's coming from on charging more for kids to play. I mean, I got three boys. I got one that's gonna be born in August, and that's my reason. You know, Braggs is 6, Bodie's 3, and I'm gonna have a newborn. And I want to see things done better in Seminole. Right, I moved back here 3 years ago, and I'm sorry, but it's not the same Seminole that I grew up with playing football out there on Friday nights. It's not. You know, I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean, you can go talk to Coach Snyder, go talk to the people of this community, right? Is it the same? You got people moving out. I mean, I live here. I live right down the road. So that's my reason. That's my why. I mean, you guys can attack me all you want, but that's my why. It's for the boys. It's for my boys, right? That's my big why. And I want to.
Your
see
boys.
something- Yes.
What about the other 300 that wants to play?
They're right there with them. They're right there with them.
I understand.
So I
And I
care.
want them
mean,
to play.
I care about,
first and foremost, I'm a believer in Jesus Christ, right? And I think that my duty on earth is to promote my faith and be kind to everyone, right? So I think from my perspective, I can do that through sports. I can do that through youth baseball, and I feel like I can do that in a better way than what we've been doing it the last 5 years. As I've been a part of the organization as a coach, our boys have played, and I think that I can do better leading that charge. And it's up to you. It's up to the city council and the city of Seminole to decide yes or no. And that's what the proposal was put in for.
Did your kid play baseball in Seminole?
Not this year. No. Not this year.
Is it, has anybody said that the system's broke? I mean,
It's hard to make everybody happy.
yes, that's impossible. We know that.
I know, I quit trying to do that a long time.
Yeah,
You have some.
I've coached. I have a good
You
idea of
have
that.
some that think we do a great job. You have some that think that they can do better. And I'm fine with that. I absolutely have no problem with that. I have no problem with them coming and talking to me. I'm not my way or the highway kind of gal. But they have to come to me and talk to me in the way they approach. Attending coaches' meetings, helping out, stuff like that, get stuff done. I'm also old. So I can't make everybody happy. There's gonna be something, but our numbers don't say that. We've got Holdenville, we've got Moss, we've got Luvoca, we've got Calvin, we've got Ada, we've got Craig. We've got over 20 Seminole teams. We had 38 baseball teams alone this year.
That nobody's,
So those numbers broke.
yeah, we're going over the same stuff here, and it's because I keep asking questions too. But the thing is, nobody here has said our system's broke.
Last week they did,
They did? Okay.
or last
So our system's broke.
meeting.
Well,
They said.
one person said,
We said we could do better. They said it was broke, said we could do better.
I've got a bunch of land that I'd like to sell somebody to that don't ever flood. Yeah.
Mr.
I can
Mayor.
make a lot of promises.
Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, let me make one comment.
Go ahead.
I think that, just from what I'm observed here tonight, I wasn't here at the last meeting, but I'm going to tell you, yeah, that you have an issue, you don't have a problem. The issue that you face is that you have two assets here that can contribute immensely to this program. I know both of these people personally. I've watched Jennifer work out there for 20 years, or I don't know, 20. I've been out there with my own kids, and I know how that works. It's a very difficult job to manage schedules, practices, leagues, the weather, the concessions, the bathrooms, picking up the trash after the games. I know that. I wrote that contract, or contributed that one. As bad as it probably is now. But I also know Garrett. He's in the Guard. He's one of the talented captains, engineer officers that we have. And that's a huge asset, believe it or not, to maintenance and, renovating baseball fields. I've commanded him on the military side, so I know what he's capable of, but more importantly, I know what he is as a person. And I can tell you, if he says he'll do it, he'll do it. But, again, has nothing to do with what we're here tonight about. It's the problem is you're going to have to decide, what you're going to do today. The issue you have, that's the issue, but, you've got two assets here. I think the best of both worlds would be a collaboration of some sort. I would hope that you could probably do that, because you have no idea, with the experience running a 20-year operation that we all agree is not much of a break-even operation, if that, plus the new energy and the things that this new group could bring in. But I hope that would be something that might.
And renovations for anybody hinges on lights. Without lights, nobody can do anything.
Exactly. But, exactly.
That's the issue.
Exactly.
Yeah, Steve, it's, if the money to purchase new lights is unattainable at a city level and a league level, what was the last cost, Steve? It was over $700,000.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we're talking timeframes here,
Garrett.
what, are there any rules, I mean, because there are certain people who want requests for proposal. Part of me would like to see that and see it scored because it'll help me make my decision because I don't look forward to making a
Yeah.
decision either way. The second thing is there anything requiring these amounts of times to be taken? Because we can
time-
call special meetings, vote on the request for proposals, we can do a special meeting in a week, get this done, then in 2 weeks later, have the proposals in here, and then a week later, have the decision.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're hinged on meeting times when this council meets, but we can do special meetings.
We tabled it already. This is a discussion
Yeah.
item. They can't
Yeah,
take
that's a
action on
good
this.
point. Yes, so what Jay was talking about is, there's not gonna be a decision made. You've tabled this RFP, but you brought up a very good point, that's what I was fixing to say. You have time to look at this more in depth and make a decision, a more informed decision, and you can do it before August the 1st, if you want. Hopefully, it'll be around about that time. It's gonna infringe on, or you're gonna kind of impede on your sign-up on the 25th, but it also would give you time to talk, I would hope. But that's what I would suggest. It's a very good suggestion, that you could put a special meeting together and get this thing done, send it to them, and give them an opportunity to revise their RFP.
Then let's do that. Let's have a special meeting next Tuesday night? Can everybody, I mean, it won't take, but, I mean, we only have to have a quorum for voting on something like that. Can we get it done? And
You're the
then
bosses. You
let's-
tell me.
Let's set by, the 1st of August to have them graded, or 2 weeks after that. They can have their proposals in 2 weeks from next week, so 3 weeks. And then, it'll take a week to grade them, for the staff to look at them, and
So you want to have a meeting next Tuesday night? Okay?
preferably the evening. I can't do days, but you can do a 5:30 or 6 o'clock meeting. I mean, works for me. Okay.
But do we need, but who's providing the criteria for what's gonna be in those RFPs? Are we
think
doing
if-
that?
Eddie, do you have time to get with him this week and work on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Quick.
Okay, and then 2 weeks, so 3 weeks from today, you would need to have your proposals if we vote to do the proposal next week.
3 weeks
That's
from-
assuming that we vote to do that.
That's you the 30th.
Okay, and then a week after that, or we could do it at the September 11th or the August council meeting. Does that give us
That's
time?
what they're saying. Is it?
Didn't
what's the date?
Jennifer say she needed,
25th is what she said.
25th.
Started.
25th, right.
So you need an answer by the 25th?
That's what I'm trying to get at.
Okay.
I don't have that long, so.
So can the parties get, the new parties here, can you get your proposals together within 2 weeks?
We can have it ready whenever you like, sir.
Can you have yours done in 2 weeks? If we approve it next week, can you have a week to get it to us?
Are you guys are gonna send us a RFP, is that correct?
one that's been agreed upon.
Once you guys agree upon RFP, then send it to us, and we'll have 2 weeks to
Well,
submit.
I'm saying, can you have it, can you have
We'll
it
have
2
about
weeks
1
from
week.
tonight? I mean, kind of knowing what you're looking at doing, think you can have it by?
Yeah, I mean, just depending on what's included in the RFP.
Sounds like he's gonna kind of make it a little less intrusive, is that what you're saying, or more intrusive? Intrusive, or?
Less. It's gonna clarify, let's use that
Yeah.
word.
Can we meet on Friday?
It's gonna refine it.
Can you meet on Friday?
Because I'm out.
Improve. Town
There you
Friday,
go.
but I don't care, I mean, you can meet on Friday if you want to. I'll
How
be-
much notice do you have to have?
You have to have 2 days. They'd have to post the meeting notice by Wednesday.
We can do a lunch meeting and do the,
Yeah.
with you, maybe, or are you just gonna do that with Steve?
I don't
The
care.
RFP? Would you like to be around
I was
for that?
fine with the way it is.
Yeah, as long as you have a quorum, that's all that matters.
Still gotta wait, we're talking about two different things.
So
got a duty here.
All right. Let me make
No, we're
sure.
gonna do
You're trusting him to do that. You're okay with that. I'm
Do you wanna
asking
work with him? I mean, if you wanna work with him on it. you
No,
know,
I was fine with the way it was, so any changes he makes, that's why I said we can go in a loop. We just have to call it and say, on this day, you're gonna have something to present to the council, we vote yes or no. No more negotiating on the terms.
You can't, well, we can't really, we can kind of agree to that, but we can't really enforce that.
I agree.
Unfortunately.
Corey,
Because I'm hungry. This is my dinner. This is my dinner.
just so that I'm clear on what I'm being directed to do. Eddie and I are going to have a RFP ready by next Tuesday.
Maybe tomorrow morning.
Okay.
At this point.
We're going to have an RFP quick, all right? Are you authorizing me to send that out as soon as we get it in a form that you want it? Or do you want to come back to a special meeting to then issue the RFP?
Don't you want us to have the,
Well,
Or we wanna
okay,
give
let's
you-
play end game backwards.
Okay.
My concern is that we're going to open RFPs at a city council meeting, and you guys are going to score them,
no, we don't want to do that.
okay?
We want you guys, or we'd like, I mean, I'd like you to send us all the information so we can look at it before a meeting,
Yeah.
you know, and what y'all's thoughts are.
Okay, so then, by that description, you're telling me that Eddie and I are going to draft the RFP.
Okay.
These that you're looking at tonight are the bones. We're going to craft some other things and maybe delete some things, but you're trusting us to get it in a good format. We will then send it out, public notice, send it out, especially to the two that we know about. And then at some point, we will set a bid opening or a RFP opening prior to the special meeting where we will evaluate, we, the staff, will evaluate, and then we will make a recommendation at the council meeting.
Can I make, would it be helpful for us not to put the potential number of points by each item that we request?
It will, and we will have that.
And make it easier for the park board who knows nothing about baseball to score it, if they're gonna score it.
That's
Is
the
that what
other-
you're gonna do?
That's the other side catcher, they're still gonna be involved, because then you have another meeting that doesn't usually meet once a quarter.
Yeah, we made an attempt to, be seen by the park board with no avail to that.
We can get one if we request it.
You know, I know Lauren, so I'm not being snide. She came to the last meeting, and after that, I requested, you know, to show her exactly what I showed you guys tonight, or what we showed, and I just couldn't get a meeting, so. If there's gonna be any kind of deciding factor, I'd like for her to at least hear our side before she makes a decision.
That's the other caveat, this is your.
Well, that's the whole point of RFPs, right?
Well, I would even go as far as to say, you mentioned that you know, you're unbiased in this situation. Eddie's pretty much unbiased in this situation, as far as I can tell. He's newer on the council too. Maybe Steve, the three of you get together and score them. And not
Come
leave all
back
up
to you at the
staff.
special meeting with scores.
Yeah.
And you guys will make a decision based
Yeah, the
off
three
of.
of you kind of, I mean, are you guys good with that?
Sure.
You wear that hat for a long
Okay,
time.
well, let's just get this moved along.
Yeah, I want to get this
Yeah, let's
done.
get this moved along. Okay, so how are we doing the RFPs? You're gonna get you and Steve are gonna get together on the RFPs. Are we gonna vote on the RFPs, or are you guys just gonna issue them?
What you're going to do is make a motion, or no, this is a discussion item. What you're going to do is direct me you'll go back into item number 7. You'll direct me to form a new RFP with the assistance of the committee that was just appointed and release that RFP for consideration. Then the staff will set with, did you say you want the park board or not the park board?
Well, let's bypass that.
No
Let's
park
do-
board.
We're gonna do.
That was just in the original.
Okay,
RFP.
no
We're gonna
park
do
board. All right,
A,
so
and
then,
you.
then the staff will get with the committee that was just appointed under item 7 And we will score those RFPs for a return date on July 16th, 6 PM for action.
Fantastic.
Clear as mud?
July 16, you can't be July 16. Not July 16.
July 16th,
What?
You said
They can't get their-
that we'd have this RFP scored and we'd vote on the deal on July 16th?
Next week.
Yeah, that's next Tuesday. We're not giving them but
Okay.
Tuesday to do it.
Well, the
How
16th
about we do July the 23rd action?
That meets their deadline too.
Yeah,
Okay.
And everybody can that be done? They have no
Yes.
choice.
Make it happen.
All right.
Okay.
So
I'm clear.
we're taking
Let's go back to item 7.
no action on, we're just discussing on 9, so we're going back to 7. And we're giving you those directives. You have what those are, correct? On what you're supposed to do.
Did you get the motion?
You can give it to me later.
And the
Jay's
scoring-
tired.
And the scoring committee is Dana, Eddie, and Steve.
You have the scoring committee, correct? You have that, Jay? Who that
Sorry?
scoring, or you have that committee?
Yes, I have review and resubmit.
Okay.
That's your motion, right?
Okay.
With the committee of Eddie and Dana
Dana.
to score and make a recommendation. Okay,
Yep.
sounds good.
I'll second.
we're good.
So,
Make a motion.
we need to vote on this, right?
Or do we need to
Did we
make
get
a
a
motion?
motion?
Rescind the last
Who made the
motion
motion
first?
second?
Somebody gave the motion.
I'll make the motion.
Yeah, there you go.
Somebody
Oh, I
seconded.
second.
Here he comes, he's bringing it home.
All right, Eddie seconded.
Okay, thank you.
Let's do a roll call.
We're voting on 7 twice, okay. Tim Poplin,
What do we vote?
do you know what you're voting on, sir?
Yes. Somebody, start with somebody else. Yes.
Yes, okay. Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Trace Connor.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Eddie Foreman.
Yes.
Dana Miller.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, on to item 10. Discussion regarding the wastewater treatment plant, USDA funding and potential strategies for the repayment of the associated debt. Another discussion.
Yeah, another discussion.
Okay, so I promised to have you out of here by 12.
Oh, my God.
Here we go. So we had a couple of requests from city council members to review again the payment of the debt regarding the wastewater treatment plant. And I think it was generally felt that we kind of whizzed through that in the last city council meeting. So I wanted to help us be clear, especially with the public involved, with regard to what the debt strategy is and what the impacts may be long-term. So let's go through that. Sharon, thank you. So the USDA financing that's being offered, and by the way, there's a check presentation on Thursday at Tuesday, 9 a.m. The USDA will be here to do a big check presentation. Bottom line is, they're going to finance $46 million over 40 years. Our annual payment will be $1,701,704. So that's how much our annual payment's going to be. Next. So just from a city council 30,000 foot view, here's what really needs to be known. The sources to make that annual payment are the 1/2 cent sales tax that we originally dedicated to build the facility by vote of the people. All right? That is the,
And that was assuming the $21 million cost.
exactly. So that was back when we thought we were going to be able to build it for $21 million. The cost doubled or even a little more than doubled. The second option, now that leaves us with quite a bit of payment. I think it's $972,000 we have to make up. The option number 2 is the remainder of the family entertainment 1 cent sales tax. You'll remember that we issued a 1 cent sales tax. 1/2 of that sales tax was to build the family entertainment center, bowling alley with the gaming center, et cetera. We had pledged or thought at that time that the remaining of that one penny would be utilized to fund things like ambulances, police cars, continue our sewer and water line repairs throughout the community, parks, a whole list of things that we had intended to use with that money. The third option is to raise sewer bills, just to give you a little bit of understanding of what that means. A $5 sewer bill increase would basically raise $174,000 annually. So it's not a lot compared to $900,000 that we're short. And last and probably least desirable would be the existing reserves. The existing reserves are those reserves that we try to maintain for our auditor's blessing. If we get under a certain amount, our auditor starts to panic, our bondholders start to panic. It becomes increasingly difficult for us to be able to borrow money when needed. So that's an option, but not a very good one. Next. As I said, the payment's 1.7, a half cent is going to raise, that was pledged to it, 918. We're $972,000 short of making the payment for our new sewer plant. That pretty much is what I've already covered. 1/2 of the family entertainment center. If the other half of that 1 cent is committed to pay for the sewer plant, the streets program, the water line program, ambulances, and police cars will not have funding at current funding levels. Running back through it again, wastewater bill increase at $5 would only get you $174. New grants is a possibility, but in transparency, those grants have not been identified. And a lot of times, those grants will require match money, which will be very scarce when we get into that budget year. New sales tax is an option. All of our previous city councils have fought really hard to keep our gross sales tax under 10%. Just tough, really tough to get it 10%. Other options will be in the coming days, future, will be cost reductions, and that may include staff reductions. Last, a property tax. Anything that we do construction-wise in the future will likely need to be done through a property tax increase, also known as a general obligation bond. So that our ability to raise funds on our own through sales tax or water or sewer rates, those things become very limited after we get into the debt payment structure, leaving only the property tax as a viable option if we need to build a new building of some sort, a new city hall or something to that effect. That's it in a nutshell. I'd love to answer any questions. It's kind of a downer to end on, but I think it's important that we be transparent about what it is that we're up against. I mean, it's a $46 million plant. I think anybody that's in the business, Brandon McDougall had a hearing earlier, and hey, it's everywhere. Everybody is going through this same issue, every community.
I didn't realize tonight was gonna be so long, quite so long. I knew it'd be long when I specifically asked you to go ahead and proceed with this. I'll take the blame for that. However, I'll just touch on a few things. In this meeting that she had earlier, the Brenda McDoodle and 2025 plan, one of the things she discussed in maintaining a city and being able to help us move forward and to keep a viable city is quality of life types of things. That was one of the big highlights. The only way we're going to recruit more people or to keep people here is with quality of life. One of the ways we've been able to do that is getting to where we are right now, which in the last couple of years have allowed us to do extra projects like helping to build the new park, helping to make sure we get new roads, new streets, replace water lines. We've done that with additional funds that are left over. And it's my understanding from our small group meetings, that money is going to completely go away. Okay, when I came on council, we didn't have any extra money. We were fighting just to make a budget every year, 20 years ago. We had, the ambulance service was losing $600,000 a year. And we were having to come up with ways to fund that and keep things going. We weren't able to hire an additional staff member if we needed for something like we do. Like, for instance, we now have the full-time code enforcement officer. We didn't have that to help try to keep the city beautiful. I just think we all have to be thinking about what we want to do to keep these things going that we've started, because if they come to a stop, that's one thing. But then if we're faced with some type of emergency situation and we have no funding to go to, we don't want to wait and try to be reactive. I think we should be proactive. And I didn't feel like we, as a group, were able to discuss that. We could do it in small groups, but, we couldn't do it as a whole or even come to any consensus as a whole in those small groups the way we can in a full meeting. So that's the reason I wanted us to discuss this in a full meeting. Again, I know it's late, so if we needed, anybody wants to discuss it a little further, but, there's no easy solutions, period, no matter what we decide. I did mention in the small groups, even though I hate the thought of doing it because I fought that school of law election, like I did. But one of the things we do not have is a property tax currently. And while that's not desirable either, to me, when it comes to the quality of life in the community, the people who are going to benefit from it the most are going to be the property owners, the people who live here. So, are you willing to take it? Of course, I would like to have more information. I would like to see what kind of money that would raise. I would like to see what kind of increase it would be, however many mills we ended up having to raise it. You're paying $1,000 a year now on property tax, what would it increase? I'd need to know those types of things too. I don't want to, cause any undue burdens upon anybody, but, it's not desirable to raise sewer rates $5 per bill either. We would get a lot of blowback from that. There's just no easy solution to this. But anyway, I'm not going to keep talking. I just wanted you guys to all be thinking about it, and kind of add my perspective and hear what anybody else might have to say.
Thank you.
I just think if you're gonna pull down a lever on your toilet, you're gonna pull all the levers on your revenue sources. That's just, it's out here. That's just it. It's gonna be painful, but if you don't wanna do anything and just operate it, then you're gonna have no money for anything else. So you gotta, in my opinion.
Well, I don't like it. Going from flush to broke is not fun.
No.
But that's what we're on. We're on broke.
My only take is I don't want to see us wait until we're in a position that we're having to make cuts to either city staff or we need to do something major and we can't afford it, and then we have to find a way to fund it. So I just wanted everybody to be thinking about it, and what your, thoughts were on, and if we need to come back and revisit this in a couple of months. And we've got a couple of years before the payments kick in, so we've got time to deal with it, but like I say, I'd rather not wait till we're broke to do something
It'll
about it.
just be 15 more meetings, Chris.
15 more meetings. Okay, that's it. I'm good.
Chris, I just want to say thank you for bringing that up and making us think about those hard things, because we've heard all the last, 3 hours of things that the city needs. And I would love nothing more to be the Oprah of the city of Seminole and say, you get baseball field lights, you get, you get downtown lights, signs. I want to give everybody what they want to, because I know everybody cares about this city, and so seeing this, what I feel like, I'm always telling people, like, you have no idea what little we have to work with and how much we do with what little we have. Well, that margin it's gone now. And so, those hard decisions are gonna have to be made. The public's gonna have to understand that we're in a super tough position. I'd like to see what those slides that you just put up there, like, put on the website, so we can reference it back to people and say, here's our margin now. It's actually, we're gonna be in a deficit unless we start talking about more, an 11% or 12% tax, or we start talking about laying off city staff and city services and, so.
And these are also based off assumptions that the economy continues the way it goes.
Yeah.
I mean, and it may indefinitely, but it also could take a tumble and we could end up seeing less money to work with than what we already have.
Right.
So,
So, thank you, yeah. I'd like to see this incorporated more, almost like as a reoccurring discussion. So we have a plan, we're not at the last minute trying to figure out kind of like what we did today.
Personally, I'm okay with GO bond versus a tax. Because I think you see it once a year, it's a little less intrusive than you see it every time you go to the store, buy something. But that's just-
well, I can tell you the budget work sessions are fun now compared to what they used to be. Used to be, it was like, we gotta do this again, it's that time of year. And now it's kind of like you get to look forward to doing some things we've been putting off, and like I said, that's all gonna go away for us, so. Anyway.
I guess in that discussion too, Steve, do we know yet what the new, because that went into effect July 1st, the grocery tax elimination? What does that mean? And, we're not gonna have that answer today because I'm really tired. But maybe the next time, maybe we can have a discussion about, or maybe a presentation on kind of what to expect there, because that's already money going there.
It doesn't affect ours, though. This is in the state tax portion, not on the city portion.
Not on the city portion.
The city does not have to do any of that.
Okay, good. Then we're good. Fine. It's one good positive thing.
Yeah. So, everybody else good on that
We're good.
discussion? You good?
Yep.
Okay. Comments, real quick. Larry? Take a quick
Yeah. At the risk of sounding like, more like a nut than I am.
I don't think that's possible, Larry.
Well, I think you're right. Because what I'm gonna say is after every epidemic for the last 2,000 years, they've always been followed by a recession or a depression. And the predictions were when COVID started that it would come in 2024. That's from people who study that stuff. So I don't think that we can look forward to a boost in our economy anytime soon. The supply lines still haven't mended. So we need to do a lot of planning. And I wish that the wastewater plant could have cranked on a few more years, but it just didn't. Thank you.
Dana?
So welcome to Ward 1. For the heroes who have stayed, by the way, thank you for staying, because this is where the meat and potatoes part of city governing is trying to figure out how to make those dollars stretch and keep our infrastructure going. So welcome to Ward 1. Thank you for staying. Just really quick condolences to Mayor Griffin and his family for today. Well, I mean, up until now. I had actually 3 constituents reach out. One is, the concern is, and Steve, I'll get with you, I'd like to meet with you on this, if you can find a place for me. Highway 270 and Harvey Road, that intersection where Willis is, and then you turn off kind of where the old, I forget what that old plan is, but headed towards like Walmart area on Harvey Road, and then heading, that intersection is completely dark. And I know it's probably state highways, we're dealing with stuff there, but something really needs to be done. It's pretty dangerous. I've noticed it myself, but this constituent reached out and asked for some consideration on maybe some lighting and some paint to show, or some signs to show kind of exactly where you turn, because it's dangerous. I've had 2 constituents contact me about overgrown property. So one of the things that the flooding brings in the rain is not just the flooding that is damaging people's homes, but it's causing a lot of grass to grow, which is, normally I'm not opposed to that, but overgrown properties on Cedar Drive, Hidden Lake Drive, and on University and Seminole intersections there. And I'll get you those properties. I sent one to you, Steve, and I'll get you the other two. But it's just, I've seen pictures where the weeds are as tall as people. So it's, and I know there's some restrictions, but some solutions need to be considered as well. And I think that's all I have. Yeah. Thank you.
John Kramer, man, a few words. Eddie?
I just appreciate the crowd. I hope nobody, but I would promote youth sports all the time. In fact, we'd be spending all the money we had, what little we'll have after the wastewater treatment on youth sports anyway. I think that's a great quality of life.
I agree with Eddie. That's all I got. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, I appreciate the crowd as well. I think it's good that we all get along. We can talk and disagree, but we still all get along, which is really great. So I appreciate that, especially with us. But I don't really have anything else other than that. Chris?
The only thing else I would have to say is that last presentation, when we've got a room full from now on, would need to come first. We have the room full of people. So, that's it.
Tracy?
Lock your doors. It seems like we've had a kind of a rash of thefts here lately. I called Chief John Withers about my four-wheeler that was stolen. He said, well, if you'll help me find mine that was just stolen Friday.
Mine too.
You got yours stolen too?
Wow.
And so I talked to my mom. Her birthday was July the 8th, and I didn't get to get her her birthday cake, which I did today, and she said that somebody broke into her car.
Yep.
And pilfered through everything and got stuff out. So might take a look at about 9:30 or after dark. I guess they're starting to pilfer around, but yeah, that's, and then just spay and neuter your pets. That's all I have.
The car things always happen in the summer. I think it's kids late at night, nothing to do, and it's just my take.
I had a car broken into in front of my house on 4th of July while we were celebrating. People were in and out of the house. And I will say, things online, I'm a little tired of seeing the response being, well, you should lock your doors. Well, we should not have rampant people thinking they can just steal whatever they want.
Can you give me some baseball lights? I'll try to keep them busy longer.
Yeah, yeah, I would love that. I would love that. I heard it was illegal, but.
Steve, you got anything?
Oh, me?
It's your turn.
Okay, I'm up. All right. First of all, I can't believe Jennifer Kramer's 56. Boy, she really aged well, right? Let's go. The golf course is in fantastic shape. The comprehensive plan is underway, and the address that everybody should be getting on, the email address or the website is planseminole.com. Everybody needs to determine how this community is going to look. And if you're not a part of that discussion, shame on you. I mean, you need to be involved. High Notes, J-Mock and the Sunview Homes folks have just secured $6.2 million grant from OHFA to build 208 new homes in Seminole. Not in the floodplain.
Yes.
Airport taxiway is looking great. You need to drive out there and take a look at the airport taxiway. It looks fantastic. Boomtown Playground poured the floor today, so we should be opening that just any time. So we're really excited. I know the kids are super excited about it. That's all I have.
Just, if you want to know how hard it is being a city attorney, I'm the one that signed the ticket on my next door neighbor's waterway, so it's pretty tough. But tomorrow, you mentioned tall weeds and grass, ongoing deal. they're doing the best they can. I'm convinced of it. Tomorrow is a huge docket of nothing but tall weeds and grass and dangerous structures. This trial started at 8:30 in the morning, and it's one of the larger dockets we have.
Hit Tim Tate, he pays it.
Yeah, that's another thing. My other neighbor, yeah. 2 neighbors.
Well, don't move to my neighborhood.
We could cite him again if you stay off that wastewater, did that, yeah. That's all I have.
Okay. Nothing else? Have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Good job, Corey.